Welcome in on a glorious Friday afternoon. So nice to have you with us. You got Wolo, you've got stats all the way through until 6 o'clock this evening. Weekend is almost here, and let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to be positive about anything today, we can be positive about the weather. No rain, sunshine, low humidity. So enjoy the little things. Bruce Marshall is going to join us at the bottom of this hour at 3:30. The Golden Man from the Gold Sheet in Las Vegas. Special guest at 4 o'clock, Chuck Cooperstein, longtime voice of the Dallas Mavericks. And there's a vote in. We'll get to that in a second. General managers would like to see a certain type of format for bringing back the NBA. Kari Thompson, the prep writer for the Commercial Appeal, will join us at 4:30, and very appropriate because there's news today. It's not just Moussa Cisse that made news on the prep ranks this week. Today, there was a move from a top star. Briarcrest Kennedy Chandler is going to move to the famous Sunrise Christian Academy. That's one of those schools that are really basketball schools. So I can't really speak about their education, but I know they play a national type of high school basketball schedule. It is with other great athletes, and so his dad wanted him to go there to ready himself for the next move. He will move to Kansas. He will play for Sunshine Christian. You know, if you think about it, we've had, Matthew Morrell left to go play for IMG. I believe one of the Lawsons left for a little bit and played. I don't know if it was at IMG or somewhere in the Northeast. So it's not the first, but it seems like the last few years we've had plenty of elite players going to play for these academies. At 5 o'clock, our friend Andy Schiffman, our agent, he will join us. Last time, I think, in Memphis. He's going back to Chicago, and we will chat with him at 5. And then the famous Heck Yeah, Hell No from Drew Barrett. That will be at 5:30. We are packed. We are loaded and ready to go. Brett Norsworthy, how are things in Forest City?
They are well, Dave. Good afternoon to you. And Sunrise Academy in Kansas. Is it in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas?
I think it's Kansas, but I'm not 100% certain.
Do they play for the Kansas? Wherever they are, do they play for the state championship like Lausanne, like Briarcrest, like Melrose, like Whitehaven, like CBHS?
Don't. You know what? We'll ask Kari if he knows that the answer to that, and we can try to Google that really quickly. But I think it's more like, do you remember there was in Cincinnati, there was a place called Harmony, and did
Laurenburg play for state championships?
That is so funny. I was just going to say Laurenburg. I don't think they played for state championships.
So it's really just a made-up high school.
Some would say that. I don't know that to be
do you graduate?
An absolute. Oh, I think you do.
Do they have commencement in years they have commencement?
You have to, because you have to
be certified.
You have to get right. They've got to be certified, because those transcripts have to be good if you're going to go to college.
So a lot to ask Kari. I'm asking you, and I'm throwing this out more rhetorically than anything else, because I'm really looking forward to visiting with Kari Thompson at 4:30 from the Commercial Appeal. But does this redound to benefiting Bill Self? Is it any particular school? Has he been placed there by anybody, or is this just an independent move? Looking forward to seeing what Kari knows about it. I know it takes two big figures out of Memphis Preps basketball for 2021 season, taking those two behemoths off the scene. Other places are probably loving it. When you play them, you don't have to run into Cisse and Chandler.
If I can rhetorically answer your question, I have seen.
Dave, you can always.
I have seen sprinkled throughout different rosters of college basketball teams, plenty from Sunrise Christian. So I don't think it's a total pipeline just to Kansas or Kansas State or any of those schools.
Mizzou,
right. Yeah, I don't believe it is that, but I think it's a feeder for a lot of. For instance, if you're on that roster, there's probably 12 out of 12 that end up playing for a Division I school.
I would bet so too. And Kansas City historically, when it was just old-fashioned schools, like we used to have old-fashioned, has always been a basketball hotbed. It is one of the great basketball towns in America.
Oh, well, you know, I never really totally got involved in this, but I knew plenty of broadcasters that did. And actually, a really great local referee, Keith Patterson, has done it every year for, I'm going to say, 10 years. The NAIA National Championship is held in Kansas City. And I want to say they bring 32 schools, maybe all 64, but at least
like the
30.
old NIT used to when they would bring everybody to New York.
And they bring everybody to this area in Kansas City. It's played in that old municipal gym. And you never walk outside. Like, you don't have to. You can go straight from the hotel that is attached to the building right there. I mean, it is great. And if you're a fan.
That's the hotel that collapsed, isn't it?
That could be. I think you're on there. I think you're onto that, but I'm not 100%.
Because I stayed there when the Tigers played up there in '95 against Arkansas with Virginia and – who was the fourth? Okay, KU was in town that weekend. Kemper still standing or not? Kemper Arena dead or alive?
I don't know. I don't think it was that.
It needs to be dead.
I don't think it was that hotel.
It was dead when it was alive.
Because that old auditorium that they played in, and I want to say it's municipal, something of that kind.
So.
It's an older
Final Four's been
ballpark.
there.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have one there now. I think it seats, 12,000, 8,000, something like that. But
Drew is
it's
texting.
Cool.
Drew puts up on the stack, Sunrise Academy is just north of Wichita in Bel Air, Kansas. Who knew? Who knew there was a Bel Air,
Craig
Kansas?
Marshall could use some players.
Still haven't been able to find if they actually play for the state championship, but they do have 4 different varsity basketball teams at 4 different levels.
4 different. Well, I would imagine that Kennedy Chandler's going to play on the top one.
They have the varsity, elite, prep, and
he's
select.
He's going to play on the A-team. Dave, you know, a lot of times during this pandemic, during the great virus of 2020, we have said, you know, we're going to listen to science. We're going to listen to data. We're going to listen to information. We're going to listen to smart people. We've tried to have those type of people on. But also with that comes, and you know, you can say that, and then you can get from someone with all the credentials and all the letters and all the bona fides after their name. I mean, just a paragraph of bona fides to suit kind of one argument, and then on the other side you get this, because like today, no less than, you know, when we usually kind of genuflect to these world bodies, the UN, the IMF, the World Bank, NATO, all the different groups, and today no less than the WHO says healthy people should only wear a mask when taking care of patients with the virus.
So not on an airplane, not going to grocery stores.
WHO says healthy people should only wear a mask when taking care of patients with the virus.
All right. I am so torn, honestly. I go to work out. You know, I go to work out at Tommy Gerber's gym now that it's back open. And Tommy's being really smart, and you can only have 3 or 4 people in the gym at the same time. There's plenty of space in there, so you're not close. And there is a woman who is a researcher and I want to say nurse as well. Whatever her title is, she's very smart. And she works at St. Jude. And she's exercising in that mask.
Yeah.
He has to wear the mask by law, okay? And, you know, there have been places I told you when we were on the road and I went into convenience stores and I put the mask on. You know, I think it's a courtesy sort of to put the mask on. I don't know how in the world that you could exercise in that thing. She's really fit and she's doing a heck of a job with it. I commend her for that. But she's in medicine. And she feels the need to do that. So that would tell you something.
Okay.
And then you get this story today, which is a total contradiction. Hold on. How about the model that we got 3 days ago that I mentioned, that the new surge is going to come in late November. That's 9 months after the original surge that was coming to Shelby County. Only yesterday, that was contradicted by some model out of Philadelphia Children's Hospital. Okay,
and
I'm assuming
that of credentials.
Yes, I'm assuming that is a pretty reputable organization, medical organization, and they said because we'd slackened up, Nashville, Memphis, there was a number of cities because we only had a 34% social distance ratio from the weekend of Memorial Day, and that we could within the next week or two have a surge because of slacking off. So that is a total contradiction. And this is why, I mean, you have to use some common sense. Try to still social distance, whatever makes you feel more confident. Brett, if that
you want
means
to wear one,
you
wear one. If you
wear
don't,
gloves, right. You're into the gloves thing. I've read a million things where gloves don't mean a darn thing.
Dr. Woloshin told me on Tuesday that gloves don't matter.
Now, Dr. Woloshin said he read that. He never
Dr. Woloshin and Drew laughed at me back in March.
Oh,
too.
Come on, that's not fair. That's not fair.
You were the first one. I mean, you did. You look like, I don't know. You looked like you were a trash bag. You had You had so many different things.
You laughed.
I did laugh. I'm sorry.
All right, let me ask y'all this.
I shouldn't have laughed. I should not have laughed. Let me apologize.
No offense.
Right now.
Dave. No offense, Dave. You've laughed at me over a lot less matters than that, Dave. No offense taken.
That's why I like you. You give me cause to laugh.
Thank you, Dave. I'm glad I make you laugh. All right, now I'm asking this rhetorically. I know the answer to this. We all trust the very revered New England Journal of Medicine, don't we?
I would have to on the front end, yes.
I mean, the august New England Journal of Medicine,
right,
on May 21st. For people that may not be able to figure out that date, that was a week ago yesterday. May 21st, they sent out this. We know that wearing a mask outside healthcare facilities offers little, if any, protection from infection. Public health authorities define a significant exposure to COVID-19 as face-to-face contact within 6 feet with a patient with symptomatic COVID-19 that is sustained for at least a few minutes, and some say more than 10 minutes or even 30 minutes. The chance of catching COVID-19 from a passing interaction in a public space is therefore minimal.
So how are we all getting it?
We all aren't.
Well,
we all aren't close to getting it.
That's one good point. But we still have to today. We'll get into this later. We've had almost 6 million in the world cases of coronavirus. We have in the United States.
What's the percentage of fatalities?
Well,
it starts with a zero and then the point.
Yes. Oh yeah. But my point is this:
I'm not wearing another mask. Bottom line, unless it's the law of a place that I go in,
right,
I'm not putting on another mask.
But here's the deal, Brett. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not arguing that. But we still have in this country almost 2 million cases, 1,781,000. So I don't, the way they're talking now, I'm not sure we really totally know how the heck you get it. Because I'm
going to go with the WHO and the New England Journal of Medicine.
Yeah, well, and they're saying you don't need a mask now. That's the newest. I can't.
Taught me with alphabet soup of organizations and credentials.
I can't.
Not wearing another mask.
All I can say is I do know that we've had in the world 6 million cases of this. So it is getting spread, and
how about
anything you can do to not get it is smart.
How about this nugget from ABC News? We trust ABC News, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. They've looked at 21 states that eased restrictions May 4th or earlier and found no major increase in hospitalizations, deaths, or percentage of people testing positive in any of them. South Carolina, Montana, Georgia, Mississippi, South Dakota, Arkansas, Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Wyoming, Kansas, Florida, Indiana, Missouri, New England, and Nebraska, and Ohio.
I hear that, and I'm pleased to hear it. But then again, today, 90 new cases in Shelby County. And let me tell you, the testing rate, and there were 1,400 new tests taken, was at 8.8%. That is up in positivity for the fifth straight day. And I'm guessing, and I'm not the New England Journal of Medicine, and I'm not the WHO or the CDC or any reputable medical person by any means. But when I hear that it goes up like that, it tells me, and that model, I guess, from Philadelphia sort of tells me that we should still be on the alert, because when we let up just a little bit, like we did over the Memorial Day weekend in the Shelby County area, the positivity rate in the test is going up. We are having new cases, 90 new cases, when we were down to like 50, 60 cases for a period of time there.
This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Head into June and start your June at Lexus of Memphis. Great offers on all 2020 models and always on special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for a luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, I've given you a lot of the numbers, and I'll go over them again. But I think the top story of the day is the Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin, who was seen on video kneeling on the neck of George Floyd. He was arrested, and he's now been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. And maybe that will ease some of the tensions and the violence that is taking place in the city of
But why third degree? If that's not first degree, what is first degree?
I don't know.
And what about the accomplices? The three just standing there with their thumbs somewhere else.
Those three, from something I just heard, I've not seen it in print, but I do believe they are going to be arrested. There have been
it should be first degree, and it should be subject to the electric chair, and it should be done quickly.
We shall see if that is the way it works out. Hopefully, this first move at this very moment will at least calm some of the tension down. I mentioned 90 new cases in Shelby County, and we also had 3 new deaths yesterday. We're up to 108, 4,793 coronavirus cases. Some good news, as we mentioned yesterday, we're opening up things all the time. The Ornamental Metal Museum, which, by the way, is just a gorgeous place to go. See the view, see the artists. You can do weddings and stuff like that up there when we all get completely opened up. That will be open on June the 4th. Tennessee, 21,679 cases now. 356 have perished. We're almost to 15,000 in Mississippi. 710 have passed their ratio. Or fatality rate worse than any of the surrounding states here. And then Arkansas, 6,530 with 120 deaths. We mentioned almost 6 million cases now. 5,976,000 throughout the world. Almost 365 fatalities, 365,000. And 2,631,000 recoveries in the U.S., almost 1.8 million and 104,000 deaths. We've had over 500,000 recoveries, and that is the dashboard for today.
My top story, Iowa Athletics Director Gary Barta says any athlete who chooses not to train or compete this year because of the virus faces no penalty with their status of their scholarship. He acknowledged until there's a vaccine, everyone faces some risk. And with that, read today, fastest turnaround for a vaccine, you know what it is?
2 years.
4 years.
4 years. I have a feeling that'll be accelerated. By the way, the dashboard I mentioned now, they're keeping track of all the vaccines being worked on. There's up to 138 vaccines being worked on as we speak.
Not top story of the day.
Well, this is actually an interesting story, not that it's not the top story. And that is, yesterday they had that conference call and gave options in a survey to the general managers of the NBA, all 30. The majority of them, 16 of them, 16, isn't that interesting? 16 of them say, let's just bring the 16 teams from the playoff positions and let's reopen the NBA that way with just those 16. 14 had different views. There are plenty of different scenarios. It just goes to show you that no matter what sport, at whatever level it is, they're all looking after themselves. I'd be willing to bet you, Brett Norsworthy, every one of those 16 GMs that voted for the format to start with just those 16 teams, each one of them has a team already in the playoffs.
I would bet the same thing. It was down to a lot of selfish interest, and I wish the NBA was moving along at a much faster rate than this. It's almost hard to believe that it's going to be July 31st before a first game is played. My not top story, 2 months of no baseball at AutoZone Park. Very sad. And how expensive is that on the city-owned ballpark? Will it put any stress on making the bond payment that has to be made to the city at a time that budgets are really strained? I think there should be a statement from the Redbirds soon about the rest of their year. They're not playing. They know that. We know that. Heck, most of their players got fired yesterday.
Yeah.
The financial strain that on both of them. For me, even in 77, when we didn't have a minor league team in Memphis, I went to two games that summer at Ray Winder Park in Little Rock to see the Travers play. For me, it'll be the first time not a single minor league baseball game to attend since 1970.
Well, Brad, I can only hope this because I don't think there will be a Redbirds game there, but there may be a 901 FC game, so maybe you can still go to AutoZone Park a couple of times this summer. I certainly hope that is the case. Speaking of which, you mentioned all the minor league players got fired in essence because they're not getting their money. How about David Price? If you haven't heard this story, the David Price story, who, of course, was traded to the Dodgers in the Mookie Betts deal. He goes from the Red Sox to the Dodgers. He has pledged that he will give every Los Angeles Dodger minor leaguer who's not on the 40-man roster $1,000 for the month of June, and that is over 200 guys. How about that? He didn't have to do that. I know he's got the money, Brett, but he didn't have to do that. I think that's incredible. And those are your top and your not top stories of the day. As we mentioned, we are chock full. We've got Bruce Marshall and Chuck Cooperstein. We've got Kari Thompson and Andy Schiffman. And we've got the ever-popular, always well-thought-of, heck yeah, hell no. Oh, and Brett, you can't see this. Well, you might be if you're looking on Zoom. But a very confident, almost to the point of arrogant look from Drew Barrett about how good these questions are going to be.
They're pretty good. They're real good, actually.
Oh.
And they're all college football.
Oh, I love it when he talks this way. We've got to get going so that we can bring in our friend from Las Vegas. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by the commissary. That's the Germantown commissary. That's the Collierville commissary. That could be pickup. That could be inside. You know, they were one of the first to open. They've really done a good job of making sure it's safe to go in, and they've been busy. I'll never forget that picture in the paper of Walker Taylor sitting in there with the mask and the gloves with some people next to him, same attire, just waiting for people to come in. And his comment was, we've got waiters and waitresses who can't wait to see you. And that is the truth. And people that I know that have gone in have really had a great meal and walked out there feeling, oh, yeah, we got some normalcy back. If that is not your comfort level, we understand. Walker Taylor understands. That's why you can still get your favorite ribs or pulled shoulder or chicken or tamales or whatever it may be. You can pick them up curbside in Germantown or go through the drive-thru in Collierville. It's so simple. It's so easy. Heck, it's just so darn good. At the commissary, Germantown or Collierville. To Vegas we go. Our friend from the Gold Sheet, Bruce Marshall, is next.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin, so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
At AutoZone, we've always been here to help you get what you need to go where you need. That hasn't changed. Needing some battery help? We've got you. Whether it's a free battery test or a free charge, we can help you get started again. And if it's time for a replacement, we've got a full selection of batteries starting at $79.99. That's why we're America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Based on data from the MPD Group Incorporated Car Care Track 12 months ending December 2019.
Has this ever happened to you? I bought football tickets for my husband's birthday, and now I'm in a football bubble. All I see online are articles and ads about football. I hate feeling like I'm being manipulated. I downloaded DuckDuckGo, and I saw a difference right away. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. It's that simple. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
I'm Dr. George Flynn with the Skin Clinics, and we're pleased to announce that we will begin seeing clients for aesthetic services on June 1st. So call 901-345-7546. Again, that's 901-345-SKIN to make your appointment for a facial, brow service, lash service, or any other aesthetic services that you've been waiting for. We will be following all necessary protocols to keep everyone healthy and safe. Our esthetician will be using masks, face shields, and gloves. And we ask that you call us when you arrive and stay in your car. We'll notify you when your room is ready. Of course, we'll do a temperature check and you'll be given a mask when you enter the building. We appreciate your cooperation and we're happy to get back to serving you safely. Remember, beautiful skin is just a phone call away. 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-7546. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome in, halfway through hour number 1 on this beautiful Friday evening. Wolo and Stats with you. And we head to Las Vegas. Our friend from the Gold Sheet, Bruce Marshall, standing by. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of stuff open up, Bruce. Yesterday, the governor of Texas said even outdoor events with 25% capacity would be acceptable. What's going on in Vegas in that regard? How are you opening up there?
Yeah, we're getting closer here. Now, the casinos are going to be opening on a limited basis beginning next week, June 4, which is Thursday. Now, they're going to have a lot of protections in place there at, mask wearing and distancing, and only a couple of people involved at the tables and slot machines, people apart and things like that. They have made a minor opening last week for the restaurants for takeout in the casinos. That was mostly done to appease the casinos at more rural locations around the state. And there are some, actually, besides Vegas and Reno, those places that derived a lot of their income from the food, from the restaurants. So they kind of made that move with the rural casinos in mind. But they are opening up limited capacity for the casinos next week. I mean, I don't know who's traveling into Vegas right now, so I think that's another question we'll have to deal with in the next few months, who's actually going to show up there. But they are at least getting closer to opening the thing back up in Vegas.
Bruce, you are a big soccer fan, and internationally you're seeing things starting to reopen. The Bundesliga got the big head start, and in Germany, deaths per population of 1 million, it was really low. It was pretty manageable. They did a great job. Why are they able to get the Premier League going as quickly as it started when the UK had 573 per 1 million in population, and we had 318, and we're going to be July 31st getting the NBA going?
Yeah, well, they've, how accurate a lot of the numbers are there, but I think in the UK, they're going to start this off, and the Premier League starts, it'll be starting off like they did in Germany with no fans in the stands, but at least that's a start. More poignantly, Serie A in Italy has announced it is going to come back in a little bit later June, and La Liga in Spain comes back a little bit earlier than June. So they've watched the Bundesliga and what's went on there, and decided they could, that was sort of the test run here, and the matches looked enough similar. There's a few things different. They allowed a few more substitutions than normal, but the matches were consumed there. The TV ratings have been boffo for the Bundesliga. There has been, my guys in London tell me, there's been about 10 times more the betting volume in Germany than there normally would be. 10 times. Now, that's mostly down to the fact that that's been the only game in town, but, there's still some commerce to be done here, and they're about ready to get around to it. The only country that has not gone the full way yet is France, at least for sport. France canceled Ligue 1, their soccer, until the fall. They're not coming back. But every other major league is done. I think the leagues here are looking what's going on in Europe and seeing if they can present something with few or no fans, and that might be a way to start over here at least, and they're finding out it can be done. So I think that example has worked pretty well overseas.
I'm curious, since you just mentioned betting volume, with the social distancing that you have to have at all of these casinos, slot machines have to be much further apart now. I don't know if they're going to 6 feet. I really don't know. I haven't seen it. I know there were big lines when they opened up Southland Racing and Gaming here a couple of weeks ago. But what will that do? Is the handle cut in half, or is it more than half? What are the estimations of how this will work?
It will vary, Dave, and it's going to vary upon the venues that have mobile apps and those that don't. Most of these places in Europe are completely done mobile and or online. Bet365 and others. I mean, they don't have brick and mortar shops anymore. There are brick and mortar shops there, but you're talking about volume that's done online or through mobile apps. The states that have not incorporated that aspect into their sports gaming mix are going to lag far behind here, because a lot of people, even if they open up some of these hotel casinos, a lot of people aren't going to go for a long time, and it's not going to be the same experience there. But if they don't have a mobile component, they're going to be down. So it's a little hard to make a blanket statement in the states here how it's going to work. Those states that have mobile will see, there will be action there. New Jersey's got it. Nevada's got it. Mississippi has it, but only in the venues there. It's not good enough. And there's some other states that have not adopted the mobile component. Those that don't are going to fall way behind here. But the ones that have the mobile, where you don't have to leave home to make your bets, are going to be able to get up to speed a lot quicker.
It took the University of Michigan president about a week to backtrack and change some comments from last week. Where do you think we are on college football, Bruce? And who do you think is out there leading, and who do you think is out there following?
I think the SEC will lead, and you're because I think most of the region there seems to be, you've got Florida opening up and earlier in Georgia and Tennessee, Texas with A&M there. So I think that whole region there looks to be more in sync. So I think that will be the leader. Big Ten has got some issues here, but it looks like even the most draconian of the governors, whether it be Gretchen Whitmer or Phil Murphy, those are states that have Big Ten schools, seem to be loosening up a bit. California is interesting because the UC schools have yet to announce what they're going to do, although all indications are they're probably going to they're actually going to be back on campus. The California states, and that would be the Fresno, San Jose, San Diego State, they've said they're not coming back on campus in the fall, just online. They can amend that. I mean, we're still only May 29th here today, so that can all be amended. But it's piecemeal right now, Brett. I don't think it's going to be different for a while. You can't make a blanket statement because each of these leagues kind of operate independently. But I would think by the end of June, Brett, we're going to see more clarity in college football. But I mean, some of these states that seemed like they were, drawing a harder line in the sand might be easing up a bit, and that's probably good news for the football.
Well, in the state of Illinois, Pritzker, he's held so hard to the line of no more than 50, which is phase 2 here, that the John Deere golf tournament was canceled. And that I guess that was supposed to have people. I'm trying to remember where that was in the placement of the schedule. I saw a very interesting column that was talking about the need for uniformity as the NCAA was going to come back on the Division I level. And some of the things that you've just brought up. There's 2 or 3 states in the state in the Big Ten that might not be able to open up as thoroughly as other places. We know the aspect of what's going on in California, although it appears that there's a good chance that will be opened up for certainly crowdless games by the time the football season comes in. Heck, right now in the state of Texas, you could play with 25% of the crowd there, which was stunning when that was announced yesterday. But I don't believe we could have the uniformity that some think are necessary, and it's not because of the schools and their own self-interest. It's because governments are moving at a different pace.
Yes, that's right, Dave. And in the schools, there's so many more hoops that college sports have to jump through than the NFL because you've got the politicians, you've got other things you've got to do. There's, the schools themselves. I mean, may not have people there. So that's a hoop. But there is one other big thing about college football. We might have talked about this last month, but the NCAA can't make a decree on this. It's not like Roger Goodell. I mean, each league. I mean, Greg Sankey is Roger Goodell of the SEC,
right?
And Bob Bowlesby is the Roger Goodell of the Big 12, and Larry Scott is the Roger Goodell of the Pac-12. These leagues all operate sort of. They call their own shot. The NCAA isn't going to be able to pull the levers on football, and so it's a little bit of a different structure. Optimally, yeah. I mean, it'd be great if they all came back, but there's so many hoops to jump through. Here's another one too. If the gates are down and limited, what about all these guarantees that are supposed to pay out? What about these Sun Belt and Conference USA schools, or the FCS schools that go play a non-conference game for a big guarantee? Is Mississippi State, is Kentucky going to be able to pay the same guarantee if on site is not going to be the same game day revenues? So there's a lot of hoops that have to be jumped through in college that makes it a lot tougher. It's doable, but it's just going to have to be done sort of piecemeal, and hopefully it arrives at something that works for everybody.
And, Bruce, I don't want to be too nitpicky, but there's a little bit of a difference between uniformity and unanimity.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And and it's just because of the specific nature of college sports. where that differentiation is going to be played out in real time more so than in the other sport, in the pro sports. So that's, sports wise, it's kind of unique to colleges. And I think the uniformity thing is going to be very hard for the college sports to figure out here. And here we go at the end of May. I'm still not sure where that's going to go, even though, the unanimity factor is there. But I don't know that uniformity is going to be quite as easy in college sports.
Your point's well taken about revenue streams and these group of 5 schools. Let's just say the MAC, for instance. If a MAC school gets to go play at the Horseshoe at Ohio State, they're going to get somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million.
Yep.
But that's because they're going to get 80,000 people in the Horseshoe.
Yeah.
If they don't get that 80,000, how can you make that payment? And then if you don't make that payment, heck, we've already seen the MAC schools. They've eliminated sports. They've eliminated teams. They've eliminated coaches. It's only going to get worse for them.
Oh yeah, and this is part of the problem that college sports is going to have, because it's not the playing field is so different levels. Even within the Power Five, it sort of is.
Sure.
But I think that's a problem that, like the NFL, which collectively negotiates all of its revenue, and the NFL is even a little different than the other major sports. That's the ultimate example of how you do it. Baseball's got sort of not quite the college problem, but the revenue streams are not equal in MLB either for the teams. So it's that's part of the whole puzzle in MLB, along with paying the players. But it's really an issue in college sports, and I don't know what the resolution is going to be to that, guys. And I think that would be the one thing that would most prevent uniformity in the fall. It's just, and hopefully hopefully it doesn't happen. And if it did, it would be just a one season thing. You would have to hope, though, it doesn't have lasting impacts and forces a lot of these schools to shut down their athletic programs, which is a possibility.
Will we have baseball?
Yes, I think we will, because the players, I think at some point, losing a year of service time in a career is too much of a slug for a lot of these guys to take when they look at the careers, and somebody will start reminding them example of guys who had to leave during the Warriors a long time ago, but I mean, their careers were disrupted and you never get those years back. You don't get a year back. And they're not going to have public sentiment. It's hard. The owners never have the public on their side, really. But the players, if they're already making a lot of money, if they think it's going to be a popular move to balk at whatever is offered, I mean, they're still getting paid a lot, even if they go on the owner's terms. So that's why I think they will come back. NBA is one I'm not so sure about, but I think MLB and the NHL, we will see them coming back in July. NBA, I don't know.
Wow. I'm more confident at this very moment in the NBA than I am in MLB. I wonder, you're a historian. Was that first offer where a $30 million per year guy is only going to get 20% of his salary if he plays in all the games that are out there to get that 20%? Is that just a negotiating offer to start low and have room to come up? Or was this their statement that we're not going to have 40% of our revenues, or so we think, from not having crowds, and we're going to be hard line?
A little bit of both, but I think all these things, the first salvo is always just that. I mean, they rarely get solved in the first go-through. And any labor impasse in the past, I mean, they all took a while to, the original offers were never what was taken. There is a little time element here to it. But I think, though, that I think baseball will eventually come around, because I think most of the players want to play. And like I said, as long as they get a year of service time, that's there. I mean, there's a good chance I think the NBA probably would too. I just sense a little more reluctance on a lot of the players to buy in as much as they would in baseball or the NHL. But there's also, I think there's a better than 50-50 chance all of them come back. I think NHL might be, they've got a pretty hard and fast plan here. You're going right to the playoffs, and I think they're the ones that we'll hear first that is officially coming back.
Hey, I must say I like that NHL plan too. Before we let you go, I got to ask you, because I don't think many people realize, but you are one of the privileged to have been able to do a show on a fairly weekly basis with the great Brent Musburger, who I have a great deal of affection for and admiration. And it was hard for me to believe when I saw this week Brent Musburger is 81 years old. I know he's doing the Raiders. I know he's doing that gambling thing with you. How is he? How is he doing? 81. That's just like unfathomable to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's 81. We had, last year we had a big birthday party for him up here in Vegas, his 80th, and it was early May, so he turned 81. Brent's up in Montana now, and the VSiN guys, is on earlier this week. They of course do it in the South Point, and they're on a very reduced schedule right now. They do the morning show, which they farm out to a couple of cable TV stations, networks, and that's it. And then just replaying stuff. He's doing fine, and I've been talking with him and his lieutenants there about some plans we got for some things, hopefully in the fall if they get this thing back up and running. But no, Brent's so fine. Remember, here's an interesting thing. If you go back, that great picture of Joe Namath lounging by the pool before Super Bowl III. If you look at the people sitting around him, one of them is Brent, as a 30-year-old writer from the Chicago Tribune. In fact, he was still 29 then, so you can spot him in that picture sitting around Namath at the pool.
Yeah, well, I was a kid. I read him, and then he went to TV. He was the sports anchor for the CBS O&O at the time, which sort of elevated him to a national spotlight. And he was the first guy that I'd ever heard of. Instead of writing a script, he would give the director, he would just give him copy points, and he would ad-lib his entire, and in those days they were getting a good 3.5, 4 minutes every night. Not just ad-libbing the highlights, but ad-libbing the whole broadcast. I thought that was pretty amazing. And this was a guy from a writing background, so he is one of a kind. Yeah, he's hanging out in Montana now, and he usually spends about half his year up there. But hopefully he'll be back here pretty soon. How do we get more of you and all that historic perspective? Yeah, check us out on LineGoldSheet.com. Putting up some best of things. I'll have a few more this weekend. Bundesliga picks there. Wager Talk. VegasInsider.com. We'll have some German picks. I hope to have some baseball and hockey and NBA before too long, but when it's ready, you'll see it at goldsheet.com. I got the feeling it's right. I hope it's right around the corner. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. Okay. That is Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. He's brought to you in part by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. You know all about the tune-up, and now I got to tell you, it's all about the tankless. Yeah, I've got a tankless myself. You know, Here's the thing. How old is your water heater? Most water heaters in the Mid-South, well, they're located in the attic. That's not a good thing. And the worst day you can replace a water heater is one day too late. Water heaters that are 10 years old are about 65% efficient when they're new, compared to a tankless water heater right away. That's up to 98% efficient. Plus, right now, you can get your tankless water heater from Conway for as low as $79 a month, or he'll give you $300 for that old relic tanked water heater. And by the way, you never run out of hot water. You save on your bill, and there's no more worrying about the tank bursting in your attic. And with over 8,000 five-star reviews, you know you're going to get that great award-winning service every time. All you do is make the call, 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, tune-ups, and that great, great tankless water heater. Back in just a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Hey everybody, our friends at All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch say congrats to the high school and college class of 2020. And it's a great time to help your grad get a new or pre-owned Chevy. And if you're ready to get that new Suburban, Tahoe, Silverado, Blazer, or even pre-order one of those hot new Corvettes, All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch is where you want to be. Because the people at All Star Chevy make it fun, easy, and safe, whatever makes you comfortable. They'll even bring any All Star Chevy car, truck, or SUV to you. And you'll pay a lot less than at those city dealers. GM's financing means means no payments for 4 months and 0 interest for 84 months. That's on any new Equinox or Silverado. Thousands in cash back with Blazers, Silverados, and more. And everybody at All-Star Chevy has one job: to make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and in record time, and all sanitized and safe for you. They'll even pick up and deliver for maintenance and service. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, not Mount Moriah or Collierville. It's gotta be Olive Branch, people. So find new roads to All-Star Chevrolet today or go to allstarautogroup.com.
I'm John Conway with Conway Services. Do you have to add Freon to your air conditioner every summer? Good news, it's Super Tune-Up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a Freon leak check. That's right, Conway Services exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for only $69 with a Freon leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If you have an air conditioner that leaks Freon every year, with Conway Services Super Tune-Up, we'll include a leak check at no charge. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. Call this week and we'll perform your Super Tune-Up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
Cruising through on Friday. Story just coming out. The Power 5 conference commissioners are asking Congress to move forward with federal legislation regarding compensation for college athletes. The commissioners from the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC sent a letter dated all the way back to May 23rd to congressional leaders. They encouraged federal lawmakers to not wait for the NCAA process to play out before passing a national law that would set parameters for college athletes to be compensated for name, image, and likeness, now known as NIL. And I don't blame them. Waiting for the NCAA.
I don't either.
Is just painful.
They get paid by the hour
and ineffective. And let's get this thing on with, especially now with you see everywhere you turn, particularly with college hoops, that there's more and more competition, whether it's the G League stuff or it's New Zealand and Australia or other foreign entities that are trying to get some of your better players, even if that's for just a year. You've got to come up with something that is equitable and probably should have been done a long time ago.
We do, and should have been done a long time ago. And one of the bigger sports deaths out of the virus could be the NCAA. This really could be when the breakaway happens in Las Vegas. I wanted to ask Bruce about this. The posted odds for this: will there be an MLB regular season? Yes, minus 500, 1-5. No, plus 300, 3-1.
Well,
he said yes.
What were the numbers? Yeah, he was more confident in MLB than NBA, and I don't share that same comfort level, and this will be fun to talk with Chuck Cooperstein about. Were there odds on that Vegas site for the return of NBA as compared to the MLB?
I didn't see. They had this one, though. They had New York Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau 1-2, Mark Jackson 7-2, Mike Miller, not our Mike Miller, the current coach of the Knicks, Mike Miller 6-1, Kenny Atkinson 7-1, Jeff Van Gundy 12-1, Mike Woodson 12-1, Patrick Ewing 25-1, Becky Hammond 30-1.
Wow.
Pat Riley 75-1. Riley's not doing that. Phil Jackson 150-1.
Wow. Yeah, he's not coming back. 1-2 for Thibodeau. I don't. Look, Tom Thibodeau. I thought when the Bulls got him, I thought that was going to be a good move. And then when he went to Minneapolis, I thought, you know what? Maybe he's learned his lesson. You can't kill players the way he likes to kill players, and not in this generation anyway. No, I just cannot imagine how that would be a good move for the New York
leading
Knicks.
Odds for Phil Mickelson in the next match 2-3. Steph Curry, Tom Brady 3-1, Steve Young 4-1. Partner for Tiger Woods 2-3, Michael Jordan 11-4, Tony Romo.
No Penny Hardaway in that?
Nowhere listed for either.
Oh,
Donald Trump 250-1 to be Mickelson's partner.
Wow.
Barack Obama 80-1 to be Tiger Woods' partner.
Oh my God! Could you imagine if Trump and Obama were a part of that foursome? What would those television numbers be? Could you? Seriously, that would be unreal. I would not miss a second of that. I promise.
That could break Twitter.
Oh my goodness. This portion of the show brought to you by Family Leisure. We're sitting in the Family Leisure studios. I talked with them today. They were supposed to come out, and I had to change it to next week. But they were telling me they've had one of the best springs they have ever had. They want to thank all of their customers. People understand now with these changing times we're going to be doing staycations. We're going to make our backyards our place to really nest. And they've got it all for you right there. Complete pool packages starting at under $1,600. The 24-foot pool starting at under $2,000. Same thing for the four-person styles, $19.99. Swim spas, the big ones, under $10,000. Those beautiful high-quality swing sets have been discounted all the way down to $21.99 from $34.99. They are offering contactless purchasing. There's deliveries and curbside pickup that make it easy for you. Just make the call. You place an order, schedule an appointment first if you like. You can go in, and they'll show you, and they're doing a great job with distancing, and then they'll bring it out to you for either a delivery or curbside pickup. They want to make sure you stay safe. It's all about a staycation. Family and fun all coming together still at Family Leisure I-40 and Whidden Road. There's an hour in the books. To Dallas we go. Long-time voice of the Dallas Mavericks is Chuck Cooperstein, and he is next.
America's ready to get back to work, but to win in the new economy, you need NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies. As America reopens for business, receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now. And schedule your free product tour, too, at netsuite.com/herd, netsuite.com/HERD.
I've got a snack that'll add a little kaboom to your keto diet, or would that be keto boom? Either way, Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds have the bold flavor that outshines other low-carb snacks. And if keto's not your thing, you'll still love the high protein these rinds deliver. Flavors like Korean kimchi barbecue, honey chipotle, pineapple ancho chili, and more. Visit porkrinds.com to find your flavor. Boom!
Visit your local Kroger today for your Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds.
Hi, it's the Herd. No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom makes it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving home. Don't know the difference between a last will or living trust? LegalZoom can help. They're not a law firm, but you can get started quickly online and get advice through their network of independent attorneys. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in on a busy day, a couple of hours before the weekend gets started in earnest. Big news story today, Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who was seen on video kneeling on the neck of George Floyd, was arrested today, charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. This is a day where we've had 90 new cases of the coronavirus in Shelby County. This is a day where the stock market actually ended up pretty well close to even. It was also a day where we heard the survey of NBA general managers, and not anything to really be surprised at. 16 agreed that the NBA, when they return, if they do, hopefully soon in Orlando, should start with the playoffs, and all 16 teams that were in playoff position should be the ones that play in the playoff. I would have to believe, probably, maybe Mark Cuban was different, because Mark Cuban was saying, you know, he could see different formats, maybe bring 20 teams in, probably coming from the West, where Memphis is at the moment in position to be the final playoff team. But I would have to bet that most of, probably all, except maybe Cuban, the GMs that voted for a start of the playoffs in playoff position were all general managers of teams in playoff position. One of those teams is the Dallas Mavericks, and their long-time voice of is Chuck Cooperstein, who joins us now. Chuck, I hope you are in good health, doing well. What have you been doing since March 11th and Rudy Gobert?
Well, really not a lot. I did just get off the golf course, though, so that was worthy. And golf courses have opened up here really in the last month or so. So I've tried to take more advantage of it. I've done a little bit of radio, like you, but it's frankly very dull. It's a very, very dull existence without our games.
Give us some scores from the golf course.
Well, 80 today with 4 3-putts, so that was it was encouraging.
Very nice.
I don't hit it very far anymore, but I do hit it pretty straight and can keep it in play. So if I could putt a little, it would be really good.
Chuck was always a really good player. You didn't play for Florida, did you?
No. Once I went to school at the same time Mark Calcavecchi was there, and I thought about walking on. And when I saw him and Larry Rentz on the practice tee, hitting it the way they hit it. I knew I didn't hit it that way, and I knew I would never hit it that way. So I stopped very, very fast.
Thus, Chuck, you were at Florida at the same time Fred Ridley played there, weren't you?
No, Fred was before me. Fred was the runner-up in the amateur in '75, and I got to Florida in '77.
Well, while we're talking golf, then I'm going to skip over this really quickly. Here's the first one in your neck of the woods, the Schwab in Fort Worth. It's supposed to happen on June the 11th. I think it's going to happen. What do you think?
No, it's going to happen. It definitely is going to happen. They have a fantastic field. They've got the top 5 in the world, committed. They've got, I think, 15 of the top 20. Tiger's not committed, but Tiger's played here once back in 1997. And there was an incident on the 17th hole of the final round that I think pretty much has cemented that he will never play here. So I don't think they're terribly worried about that. And if there ever was a tournament to not have Tiger in, this would be the one because it's the first. And everybody's excited. Everybody wants to. The players are anxious to get out there, and I think people want to watch. If last Sunday was any indication. With the match at Hope Sound at the Medalist, I think their ratings are going to be fantastic, and they'll have a heck of a field and a heck of a tournament, even though you won't be hearing the cheering through the oak trees.
So when I was bringing you on, I talked about that NBA GM survey that ESPN has come out with now. 16 teams want the format to be the 16 teams that are already eligible to play in the playoffs, where Dallas would be a 7 seed in the West, Memphis would be an 8. Memphis would take that in a heartbeat. Do you think that's the way this thing will come back, and do you think it will come back?
I go back and forth all the time. Right now, I'm tending to believe that it will, and that it will be a playoffs plus, that it won't be just the 16, even though 16 certainly would be the easiest and certainly would be the safest because you've got the fewest number of people that would be involved inside the bubble. But I don't think it's going to be just 16. I think it is going to be 16 and probably those 4 teams from the West that are trying to chase down Memphis. I think the biggest reason for that is that the league wants to, try to get as many games as they can for their local television partners to get basically up to 70 games, so that that everybody is made whole on that front, and then they'll go and play. I don't think you'll see an NHL 24-team deal, and obviously I know Mark Cuban had the notion of putting all 30 teams into play. And I don't think you will see that at all. So, but the one thing I think that's notable here, guys, is that we hear a lot of stuff about plans and whatnot. And as compared to the other sports, I really think that when the NBA makes their announcement, it will be a comprehensive announcement. It won't come out piecemeal. Here's what we're doing with health and welfare and security, and here's what the games are going to look like here. When Adam Silver makes his announcement, it's going to be one big deal that we're all going to have to, open our mouths way wide and take a very big swallow, because I think that's how it's all going to go down. I think they're waiting as long as they possibly can in order to try to dot every I, cross every T, and try to get themselves back to play.
In essence, when they do that, it'll be set in stone, and there won't be second guessing, or if there is, it won't matter, because he will have put it into play. If let's just say it's the 20, will they say? And I know you're just guessing when you sort of speculate about this, but would it be okay? We're going to have 8 locked in with buys, and then we'll play 12 to get 6, or how will they work that out?
I'll let people smarter than I am figure that out. But I think that even though, frankly, Memphis with a 3.5 game lead with 15 to go, their schedule is really hard. New Orleans has a very favorable schedule, but again, that was playing against everybody. That's not necessarily what's going to be here.
Right.
So I don't know how easy it is necessarily to make up that ground. So I have no idea what form this will take. But the thing that I think the NBA is most concerned about, at least from an operational standpoint, is I don't think they want the very first games these guys to play to be playoff games, because playoff games matter. Playoff games are the window by which most fans, not the hardcore fans, but the casual fans, consume the product. And the last thing you want is for those games to be really ragged, sloppy affairs, which they might be anyway, but they will certainly be if the first game that you play is game one of a playoff series. And especially if that first series is a best of 5 as opposed to a best of 7, and you really don't have time, or at least nearly enough time, to work yourself into the series, I don't think anybody wants that. So I think that's why you're going to see more than just the 16 teams play, just so that everybody can play a little bit before they start getting to the games that obviously matter the most.
Chuck, you saw the Grizzlies against the Mavericks 3 times. One really, really early in the season, back on November 9th, and the Grizzlies gave up 138 points that night. I think that was the most they allowed all year. And then you saw them right before the shutdown on March 6th, but you saw a Grizzlies win, and it may have been the Grizzlies win of the year against the Mavericks on February 5th in Dallas. What was your assessment of the job that Taylor Jenkins did in this first year of Ja Morant, second year of Jaren Jackson?
Well, none of the games were close between the Mavericks and Grizzlies. They were all pretty much blowouts. But having said all that, I think Taylor Jenkins did an amazing job. Frankly, I knew nothing about him, and it's rare that you find a guy who's a number 2 assistant or a number 3 assistant, who moves into a head coaching role. And normally, we all know who the top assistants are, and usually they're the ones that get put into play for potential head coaching openings. I knew nothing of Taylor Jenkins. I knew Darvin Ham was the lead assistant in Milwaukee. I've known Darvin Ham forever, but obviously there was something in the mix that the Grizzlies front office saw that. I guess most notably, Milwaukee's been a team that's been at the forefront the last couple of years in how the game is being played and how can we teach that. And he obviously has shown himself to be a tremendous teacher because there's little question, once the calendar year turned to 2020, there's been very little good that's happened in calendar year 2020, except probably for the way the Memphis Grizzlies have played, because, they were pretty much what we thought they were going to be on December 31st. And then we got to January 1st and they just flipped the switch and everything changed. And, Morant obviously had been really good from the get-go, and we knew Jackson was going to be good, but it was so much of the role players that picked up their game and understood the system and, what was going to work for them. I look at a guy like DeAnthony Melton, who really hadn't shown very much in his first year in Phoenix and really didn't show very much, early on in the year. But, man, he came out of nowhere. And, he's so athletic and he's so long that, playing alongside Morant, that's a very interesting duo. It's not a classic duo by any stretch, but it's an interesting duo for sure. And, you got Brooks, and who's always been able to score the ball. And they fit that way, that Milwaukee way, if you will, much, much better. So, they're a tremendous story. One of the great stories in the league this year that doesn't often get talked about because they're sitting in the 8th seed and they're in Memphis, as opposed to sitting in the top seed and being in New York or Los Angeles.
Ja Morant was stunned at just how good he was. I thought it was going to be a good pick. They were very fortunate by the lottery that they got that number 2 choice. Everybody was holding their breath for a minute there, hoping they would get Zion. We all knew Zion was going to be an unbelievable player, and he's lived up to the billing in the short time that he's played, but I don't think anybody realized just how good Ja could be What was your perception of him, and did you vote for him Rookie of the Year over Zion? Well, yeah, I guess we haven't
I don't
voted
have a vote.
yet.
I don't have a vote anymore. As a team broadcaster, you're not allowed. They took the votes away from us, which I was frankly very upset about, because I think the league was looking at it that we might be too biased, and I looked at it as saying, if anything, I went over the top to make sure that I was doing it right. And taking it seriously, because I know it matters for so many, and especially for a lot of these guys from a financial standpoint, it matters. So if it's going to matter to them, it's going to matter to me. But be that as it may, yes, to me, you can't vote for Zion when there was another legitimate option, and a guy who as we sit here today, has really been the leader of his team to a playoff spot. I mean, to me, that's the end of the discussion. And I know some people try to compare this with Joel Embiid playing 31 games versus Malcolm Brogdon. And then I could almost make an argument for Joel Embiid, because Malcolm Brogdon's numbers were so pedestrian. They were good. They were really, in fact, really nice for a rookie. But there's certainly nothing like what Morant has been able to produce for Memphis. So, I mean, to me, there really isn't a conversation to be had here. Now, if Zion had been able to play 15 more games, and get to the end of the season, maybe we would have had a little bit of a different discussion, maybe. But to me, right now, I mean, it's pretty overwhelming that Morant would be the guy.
Chuck, what is it like on a frequent, if not day in, day out basis to work for and know Mark Cuban? Because what I see, I love. And he had some of the ideas seem a little harebrained, but he's a big idea guy, and a lot of them have worked really, really well. What is it like, your relationship and your day in, day out, or your frequent interaction with the owner of the Dallas Mavericks?
Well, I mean, he's always been great to me. So, I can't say anything but the best things about him. But frankly, our interactions are not all that often. And certainly as it relates to my job with the Mavericks, they really aren't very often at all. He pretty much leaves me to let me do what I do. And I feel very fortunate that he trusts me in that way. I know that I don't know that I necessarily would like to be a salesperson working for Mark because Mark is pretty demanding when it comes to that. But in my case, I mean, he's pretty well left me to do my job. And just to be able to talk to him, and I mean, he does make himself as visible as any owner in the league, and especially on road games when he's on the floor, an hour before tip off or whatever, and you listen in, and he's definitely someone worth listening to. He's someone that will make you think. Now, you may not agree with him, and there are a lot of his ideas that I don't agree with. But there are some ideas that on first blush I looked at and said, what the hell are you talking about? And then, would sit back later and think a little more about it. I said, okay, I see where you're coming. I see, okay, this might work. And he's a fascinating character. He obviously he loves his franchise. He feels incredibly fortunate to be the steward of a franchise that he feels belongs to North Texas, but he is the steward of it. The fact that he is as accessible as he is to people like me and other members of the media, and frankly to fans. I mean, you can email Mark Cuban. There's a pretty good chance he's going to get back to you. You don't see that very often. So I think he's definitely a difference maker. He's definitely someone who, when he speaks, you do pay attention, and it's pretty fun to be a part of all that.
And he loves broadcasting too. So I know he's listening into you. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know he's Shark Tank and all that others, but didn't he start to amass his fortune from broadcast rights of college teams?
Well,
broadcast.com.
The whole idea of broadcast.com was to be able to listen to Indiana games on the radio.
Right.
And listen to Don Fisher because he was living in Dallas at the time, and Dallas is not necessarily a hotbed of Big Ten activity, or certainly Big Ten basketball activity. And even if Indiana was good at that time, which they were when he first moved to Dallas in the mid '80s, but that was the impetus for Broadcast.com. And a little over a decade later, he turned a fairly minimal investment into $5.7 billion. It's pretty impressive.
I saw him. He bought 2 ISDN lines and 2 cheap home computers and created Broadcast.com in his apartment.
Brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I wish I could think like that.
Me too.
I really do wish.
Last thing for Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Dallas Mavericks. You mentioned a little earlier the New York Knicks, the number one media market, and there was a Vegas thing that came out, and Brett just read it as we were leaving the last segment for the New York Knicks job. Tom Thibodeau is 1-2. Becky Hammon was 30-1. I think Phil Jackson was 150-1. My question is, Becky Hammon, how close do you think the NBA is? We had a female assistant coach in Memphis, Neil Ivey, last year, who is now the head coach at Notre Dame. Just got the job.
Right.
Are we going to get to that in the next decade or so, or sooner, where there will be a female head coach in the NBA?
I think it'll be sooner. This is a pretty progressive league. These are, I don't think you have the same issues with owners versus minorities, whether they be African American, Latino, or female, or a combination thereof in the NBA, as you may have, say, in the NFL. And there are many women who, not just Becky Hammon, she's the most prominent, but there are many women who have moved toward that goal. And we have one here in Dallas, and Jenny Busick, who was in Sacramento and was a head coach in the WNBA, but is now a part of our team here in Dallas, and has the full support of Rick Carlisle. And I think. There are, when you have people like Rick and like Doc Rivers, who have females on their staff and fairly prominent on their staff. No one's certainly more prominent than Becky, who's front of the bench, with Greg Popovich. But when you have people moving through the pipeline like that, I think it seems, fairly logical to suggest that, that it is going to happen and that it might happen sooner rather than later.
He is Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavs. Hey, thank you, my friend. It's always good chatting with you. I guess you won't get to go to the Schwab, right?
No, I'll be like you. I mean, I'm 30 minutes away, but I might as well be 30 hours away. I'll watch it on TV like everybody else. And I will be fascinated by it. I mean, Colonial's a wonderful golf course, and there's such tremendous history surrounding the golf course. And let's face it, Ben Hogan towers over all at that golf course, right. But they will have seen nothing like what they are about to see. That this, we can talk about a lot of famous moments in the history of the tournament, the history of the country club, and the golf course. But I dare say that this will be the most historic moment on June 11th when they tee off in this tournament and play.
The return, no doubt about it. Chuck, thank you, and we'll do it again soon.
Always a pleasure, Dave. Brett, nice talking to you, too. Take care, guys.
Thank you, Chuck, very much. Thank you.
Chuck Cooperstein. Always a pleasure to chat with.
Sure is.
We should remind everybody our title sponsor for this hour is Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. And then there's Genesis of Olive Branch, both in the same building, and they're making it bigger. They're bringing in more Genesis cars, and they're enticing you with 0% financing for 84 months on either the Hyundais or the Genesis cars. And further motivation. How about 120 days to make your first payment on select models. Homer Skelton Hyundai, Genesis of Olive Branch, they understand we're in a pandemic. We could be much better off in 3 or 4 months financially, hopefully. So they're saying don't pay your first payment on select models for 3 or 4 months, depending on the deal. You can't get any better than that. You can't get better than these cars. This technology, so good, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. I'm got to tell you, that is special. And they are special. The performance that I used to have on my Santa Fe, now that I have on my G70, my Genesis car, it can't be surpassed. And the technology inside makes it so safe, and some of these cars drive themselves. I mean, it's cool. Go find out for yourself by getting a test drive. Go to Olive Branch. Just get on Lamar, Highway 78, turn left at the very first exit in Mississippi Craft Road. You will have arrived at what I think is the bar for the way they should do car business. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. So there was a little bit of high school news today. Kennedy Chandler, the really great player, the point guard from Briarcrest, I believe the number 1 point guard in the class of 21-22. He is transferring to Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas, and we're going to talk about that with the prep writer from the Commercial Appeal. Kari Thompson is next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hurt. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Fiveash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Attention doctors, nurses, law enforcement, firefighters, and EMT personnel. Infinity of Memphis wants to show their gratitude for what you've done and for what you do for our community. Right now, you can get your personal vehicle a mobile super synthetic or Mobile One oil and filter change for half price. That's only $32.50 or $49.99 respectively. Infinity of Memphis will also wash your car for free. Visit infinityofmemphis.com now to schedule your service. ID is required.
I'm Dr. George Flynn with the Skin Clinics, and we're pleased to announce that we will begin seeing clients for aesthetic services on June 1st. So call 901-345-7546. Again, that's 901-345-SKIN to make your appointment for a facial, brow service, lash service, or any other aesthetic services that you've been waiting for. We will be following all necessary protocols to keep everyone healthy and safe. Our esthetician will be using masks, face shields, and gloves. And we ask that you call us when you arrive and stay in your car. We'll notify you when your room is ready. Of course, we'll do a temperature check and you'll be given a mask when you enter the building. We appreciate your cooperation and we're happy to get back to serving you safely. Remember, beautiful skin is just a phone call away. 901-345-SKIN. That's 901-345-7546. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi, everybody, The Herd. Over 50 years ago, two men with a passion for motorsport and engineering began building race engines in an old abandoned mill. They saw an opportunity on every wide open road and an invitation in every curve. It was a chance to push the envelope, break all the rules. It was a chance to prove that a 2-ton family sedan could have the performance to compete in a 24-hour track race. But shocking the competition and building a reputation, it wasn't enough. Their vision was to expand upon the excellence they had created. This engineering company continued to validate their belief by putting race car engines in luxury sedans and proceeded to stun the elite in world motor racing by winning and winning and winning. We may never truly understand what drives Mercedes-AMG to break barriers, along with every record in the book, but here's to allowing us to enjoy the results. Learn more at mbusa.com/AMG. Mercedes-AMG. Driving performance.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Strapped against my back.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. Halfway through our program, Brett, you made me Google what happened in 1997 at Colonial, which, by the way, the last time Tiger Woods played in Fort Worth.
The only time he's played at Fort Worth, and he hadn't played in Dallas-Fort Worth since 2005.
It was a couple of months before Van Hogen himself passed away, because you know it's called Hogan's Alley, especially a string of holes on the back nine. Woods went into the final round one stroke behind leader David Ogren, had a disappointing 72, tied for fourth, three strokes behind the winner, who was David Frost. He earned $70,000 that week, which is pittance these days, and he's not returned since. And they say it's unlikely he'll play in the tournament again. I don't know if anything else beyond that happened. Anyway,
I just don't recall.
I don't exactly either. But Mark Chuck Cooper didn't think he would come. That story I just read didn't think he would come. So, although I think it's a fabulous golf course. I love that golf course. But so be it. He won't be around. But Chuck is right. I mean, if there's any tournament that you don't need Tiger at, it's this one. They've already got the top five,
True.
And the world's going to be watching anyway. And we just saw Tiger last weekend. So, as much as I want him to come, that's the one. Hey, I want him to come here. That's the one we really want him to come to. In the meantime, high school news today. Lots all over over this past week. We had Musa Cisse say he will let us know, I think, next Wednesday where he's going to go. And then today, Kennedy Chandler, decided he was going to transfer. We bring in the great prep writer from the Commercial Appeal, Kari Thompson, to sort things out. Kari, how are you today?
Hey, Dave, I'm great. Hey, Brett, I'm honored to be on with you guys.
We're honored to have you, Kari, and we love your work and all that's going on at the Commercial Appeal and what you guys are doing and gals and the staff at the CA. And it's a busy week. I'm going to start without Musa Cisse on the high school scene next year and Kennedy Chandler on the high school scene next year. Who's the number one draw? Who do we go out and watch next year as the number one high school basketball player in Shelby County?
Well, you got to go over to Wooddale and go see Jonathan Lawson, Gatorade Tennessee Player of the Year.
Ah.
Last of the Lawson boys.
Yeah, the last one. And some said would be the best one. I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat out Diedrich. But does Jonathan have that potential?
I think so. I mean, he and Diedrich are the only two in the families who have won the Gatorade Tennessee Player of the Year award, and now we see the interest picking up with Memphis finally offering him. The thing about Jonathan is he's a 6'7" guard, so his game is different from his brothers. He's really a tall. He plays point guard for Wooddale, but I could see him playing the two at the next level. I mean, because he can shoot it. He has limitless potential. Led the city in scoring, averaged a double-double for the year. I mean, he had a great year until the pandemic wiped everything out.
Will he be at Wooddale next year with much certainty? Could you say that?
Well, that's a good question, because if you would have asked me before today, I would have said Kennedy Chandler would have been at Briarcrest. Musa, obviously, the rumors have been going since Musa got here that he was going to reclassify. But Kennedy kind of surprised me today. And honestly, with a lot of the top guys, you don't know what they'll do, because sometimes an offer comes around that you can't really pass up.
Well, Kennedy Chandler's Kennedy Chandler's dad is not the coach at Briarcrest, whereas at Wooddale, Jonathan Lawson's dad is. So I'm going to bet he's going to be at Wooddale, but I guess.
What if Dad got a deal?
See. Well, that's happened before.
Sometimes parents get deals. Sometimes, I mean, if you look at the Lawson family, I mean, he wouldn't have been the first brother to go prep. Chandler went to Oak Hill Academy briefly before he came back to Wooddale for his senior season. So I'm just saying, don't rule it out. But I agree with you. I hope that we see Jonathan play in Shelby County this year because he's fun to watch.
What do you think was the real move for Kennedy Chandler to go to Sunrise Christian Academy?
Well, it's an AAU connection, Dave. He plays AAU with that Mocan Elite team that's based out of Kansas. So he's going to school near where he played AAU. There's going to be familiarity there. And just from talking to Kennedy's dad, it's going to be the chance to play on a bigger stage with better competition, which the stage Briarcrest played on last year was not too shabby either. I mean, they made it to a state title game, and they played a big national showcase schedule. But with a school like Sunrise Christian that was ranked top 5 in the country to end the season, according to Max Preps, it's definitely a different level of opportunity.
Do you think that takes?
Does it make it?
I think
you're
and I
going to
are,
same thing. I'm going to
I think so. Does that take
very
Memphis,
same question, Dave?
Yeah. Does that take
harder or easier?
Yeah. Does it take Memphis out of the mix, or are they still in the mix? And now does that help Bill Self out?
No, Kansas is actually not in Kennedy's top 5. So Kennedy's top 5 is Memphis, Tennessee, Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina. So those are the 5 schools that Kennedy's focused on. So Kansas is not in the mix. I don't think you can count Penny out of any recruiting race with a Memphis kid. But it's going to be tough to beat the other schools. I mean, because it's you got the Blue Bloods, man. You got Coach. We're talking about Coach K and Roy Williams here and Calipari. So Penny's going to be in a battle with those guys for Kennedy. So I think it'll be a fun one. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up.
Since you mentioned it's tough to get a kid away from Penny, what about Musa Cisse? Because let's face it. When he moved here, everybody thought, okay, it's going to be Memphis. Then Leonard Hamilton and Florida State got in the mix, and we kept hearing those 2 schools. Suddenly, we're getting all this LSU stuff that has come into play. What is your gut feel on Musa when he makes that announcement next Wednesday?
Well, it's tough to read just because. Musa, if you read the reports, Musa has only seen 3 of those schools. So everyone's saying that LSU is in the lead, but I mean, I think it would take a strong offer from Will Wade to get Musa to come there without seeing the campus. If you look at who he's visited, he took that one official visit to Florida State in February, and he's taken several unofficials to Memphis, and he's been to Kentucky unofficially. So those are the schools he's actually seen. I can just tell you from experience that Penny was practically living at Lausanne this past year. Just everything that he could be at legally, Penny was there. Just watching Musa and building that relationship. But yeah, you just never know, man. It's the whims of these 17-year-old kids. I mean, their opinions change with the day.
And he's an elite defensive player, correct? I mean, could be a really great defensive player. Where would you or how would you compare him offensively?
I mean, offensively, he's definitely at the high school level very dominant, but that's because of his athletic gifts. I'm not taking anything away from his skill set, but I mean, if you look at his stats were pretty great offensively. He averaged almost a triple-double and over 20 points a game in high school. But at the college level, it would be interesting to see how it translates, because I think he definitely has some development to do as far as touch, as far as getting some post moves that are going to consistently work against other bigs. It's always tough to judge the big because we never got to see Musa Cisse play another Musa Cisse this year. We saw him playing a bunch of high school kids. So, but I can tell you what, elite rim protector. That's his superpower.
And the ability to run up and down the court, he just runs really well. And it looks like the offense will pick up yesterday. I was not comparing him to, I was just talking about the development and how raw, Kari, that when Akeem Olajuwon first hit Houston long before they were Phi Slamma Jamma, he was out there and was just a human wrecking ball of either block shots or goaltends. And then the offense came along with some really good coaching. Guy Lewis doesn't get a lot of credit for that, but and Akeem Olajuwon put the work in, and there's going to be some work on the offensive prowess for Musa Cisse. Do you want to go crystal ball on Musa Cisse next week?
Man, my crystal ball is, if you ask me, and this is pure speculation, I say that all the LSU stuff is gamesmanship, and I think that it's Memphis. But we'll see.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I hope he agrees, and I hope you both are right. That's all I can say. Hey,
I just don't think he moved here to go to LSU.
Yeah,
but my guess is going up against Evan Daniels, and he's typically right. He typically knows these types of things.
And his crystal ball is LSU, correct? That changed this week, right? He did not have that until this week. So, maybe that's a part of the gamesmanship. I sure hope you are right on that one. What do you think it was? Because you mentioned Jonathan Lawson. I've heard his dad talk about it too, saying that he never had anything against the University of Memphis, or at least currently people on staff at the U of M, and I think he was pointing a finger at Tom Bowen, to be totally honest with you. But why do you think it took so long until 2 weeks ago that Memphis actually offered Jonathan Lawson?
I think it was just whatever issues that the family had to work out at the school. I think it finally got worked out because. As far as I remember, I don't think Memphis even offered Chandler. They just let him go out of town, and I think they were on a similar road with Jonathan until they patched things up. So, I don't think whether or not they had anything against the university. I mean, that's for them to say. But something definitely I think did change within the relationship because you have no reason not to recruit from Austin. He's in your backyard, and he's a player.
Yeah, I mean, it makes too much sense, and there was a lot of fractured feelings with past administrations and the father, and certainly understanding that. Visiting with Kari Thompson from Commercial Appeal, all things preps. Kari, I want to ask you, on a Friday night, you got one place to go to a high school football game and one place to go to a high school basketball game. What would you give as your recommendations to take in that Memphis feel? FEEL at high school football and high school basketball?
Man, let's see. So let's start with football. So football, I mean, as well as I do, it depends on the rivalry, right? Because if we're talking about a rivalry game, man, like MUS and Christian Brothers is an atmosphere, dude. Like that's just on another level. I mean, they pack those games out. I mean, especially if it's over at Christian Brothers, you got to get there like an hour and a half in advance, or you're not going to have anywhere to park.
And great tailgating scene.
Right. It's quite something to watch. But you also got to throw Whitehaven into the mix.
I was going to go right there.
That's what I had down.
That's what I had down. To me, is unbelievable. Olive Branch is unbelievable. Yep. When Marion plays West Memphis, that's pretty unbelievable. I'm with you. I think you got to look at the rivalries, but I think if I were going to pick one place, I like the atmosphere at Whitehaven and Melrose in the old days. By the way,
and Kari at Whitehaven. Maybe the best grilled hamburger in a concession stand I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Oh man!
Hey, I got to take you up on that. I got to go check it out.
Oh, you'll like it.
Really good. All right, basketball. Where do you go for hoops?
For hoops, again, I'm slanted because they had the Hoop Fest at Briarcrest this year, and it was awesome. Like, and again, like. like it depends on what players are there and everything. But man, I mean that when Briarcrest played IMG, and it was packed out, and you had Penny there, and you had Patrick Ewing there, and you had Kermit Davis there, and you had Eric Gray there, and you just had a really great unorthodox game where they slowed it down. I mean, that's a game that really just sticks out to me. But, I mean, again, it's going to be different without Kennedy there next year. But that atmosphere was very cool that night.
I'll tell you, back in the older days, when Terry Tippett was at White Station, and even when
that's what I had down,
when Jesus came in, that White Station atmosphere, people get crazy.
I had White Station down as mine, but that big seminal event that you attended last year and where they're having again this year, Kari, that is tough to beat. But there's so many though.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of those showcases, and there's a lot of great atmospheres. I'm jealous that I didn't get to cover the White Station Joe Jackson days, man. I can only imagine what that was like.
Oh, that was great. And then before that, you had like Scooter McFadgen and who's the guy on the SEC network now that played at Tennessee?
Dane Bradshaw.
Dane Bradshaw. I mean,
and Kari, back in the day, Bill Cook at White Station. It's a long time. It's 50 years ago when Bill Cook was there, and then Buster Hancock after him. It goes way back at White Station to the Dave to the Ernest Shelton when he played at White Station.
Yeah. Well, you really want to go back, Penny and Chris Garner and, of course, Elliot Perry at Treadwell and our own Hank McDowell at Treadwell. That was a hotbed for going and watching and seeing an unbelievable atmosphere. I got to ask you real quick, Kari. We're talking with Kari Thompson from the Commercial Appeal. Is it my imagination, or has there been more movement this year of high school, both football and basketball coaches, than we've had in normal years?
I am the wrong person to judge that because I've been on the beat a year and a half.
Right.
But it certainly seems like a lot, man. There's been people been on the move.
Yeah, we've seen a whole bunch. Well, it's a delight chatting with you. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Let's
soon.
do. Kari, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Kari Thompson from the Commercial Appeal. A lot of different fronts that we had on there, and he gives me a little hope. Other than what you said, he gives me a little hope when he says gamesmanship, and that he thinks Moussa Cisse will announce Memphis on Wednesday. I sure hope.
And we forgot about Robert O'Kelly at White Station. A good buddy of ours text me. Don't forget about Robert O'Kelly at White Station. Thank you for listening. And so many. And Dave, you've been to them all. You've been to some electric places. I've been to quite a few, but I'm telling you, a few years ago, it was one of those 4 games in one day on a Saturday afternoon. And I only went to 3. I went to the noon, maybe I just went to 2. I went to noon and 3 o'clock. That's what I did. I went to noon and 3 and passed on 6 o'clock. It was a triple header down at White Station. The feeling, the pride you feel in that community about that atmosphere, those teams, that stadium, and those parents working in that concession stand. I know there's a lot of that at a lot of places, and I'm telling you, one of the best grilled hamburgers you'll ever have.
I was just thinking when we were going back to like Dane Bradshaw and Terry Tippett at White Station and all those players. Wasn't it Raleigh, Egypt? Wasn't that where Jimmy Adams was? And they had all those great teams. Didn't Scooter McFadgen play for those guys? There was a great rivalry there.
Yeah.
And I want to say
boy, it has been. And in the day, there's nothing better.
Lorenzen Wright's little brother.
Nothing better than at Melrose.
Yeah. Just good times. That is for sure. This portion of the show brought to you by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin right there down the street from Clark Tower, Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar to be exact. And they just make it so easy for you. I suggest calling in advance, but you can go up, and in their parking lot, they've got a little tent. They got 3 or 4 people out there. You pull up, and you just tell them what you want. Now, it'll be ready for you if you call them. And you can even give your credit card number over the phone. It's so easy. And they have so much stuff inside. They have all the premium spirits. They've got the bargain spirits and everything in between. If you want to question Eddie Connor about a particular kind of wine, or you've got a certain taste you're looking for, he can give it to you. If you're looking for beer, if you're looking for tequila, if you're looking for accessories, they've got it all. And they make it so easy. Again, call in advance or just drive up. The Spirit Shop, that's the stop you got to make on your way home this afternoon. Interesting story. You sort of brought it up a little while ago, Brett. It's about a Power 5 breakaway as a possible ramification of the pandemic and the way things are going. Let's talk about that when we come back next.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage, $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-569-5440. That's 1-800-569-5440. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters, 1-800-569-5440, or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-569-5440. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
I'm here with Robert Cox, kitchen manager of the Rendezvous Restaurant. Tell us about those great ribs at the Rendezvous.
Rendezvous stands alone in a unique barbecue style, only found in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't smoke our ribs, we char-broil them. The guys cooking our ribs have been doing it for 30 years. Mr. Charlie Virgos taught the guys the technique himself, and still to this day, they teach newcomers that come in the door. After our ribs come out the pit, we pre-cut every order, so you easily can tear them apart. We based our ribs on a plate and sprinkle our season all over them.
So, Robert, are ribs what everyone comes to the Rendezvous for?
The beef brisket is now our second best seller behind the ribs. We also have lamb riblets, half chicken, pork shoulder, chopped chicken, cheese and sausage plate. Nachos are fantastic. We also carry a Greek salad. The list goes on.
Robert, where can we find out more about all of these great options?
Our restaurant menu is online at hogsfly.com, and recently we just added our catering menu online.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous Restaurant, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis, in the alley since 1948.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Wow, this day. Woo. Just flying.
Where's it going?
Flying.
It really is.
There was a story, I think it was Dennis Dodd, who was talking about the Power 5 and the way the pandemic is going and how ineffective the NCAA as an entity is. And we're seeing more and more evidence of that as we continue through this. And basically the NCAA and Mark Emmert are passing the buck, and they're just saying, colleges, you guys got to decide for yourself. We're not going to do that for you.
Good luck.
Yeah. That it may be
no
time,
heavy lifting here.
That it may be time for those that run college football, they're the ones that are really in control, that they would break away completely. And in the article, I think it was Dennis Dodd, he was kind enough to mention the American and saying, well, you might want to bring them in too. And I think he was
definitely do.
He was trying to say there would be about 100 teams, and they would have their own
the
NCAA.
Jackie Sherrill plans.
Yes. Although I think Jackie said 80. He didn't say 100.
16 times 5 is 80. That's it. He wanted 5 16-team division or conferences.
Yeah. Now I'm for 100 because I want to make sure Memphis
Tigers
gets
are in at 80. Tigers are in at 80.
Maybe it is time because look, even right now, those
I would hate it, but
those Power 5 conferences are going to Congress today, and that's sort of what reinforced in my head that we should talk about this. Those 5 conference commissioners, all 5 of them, sent a letter, signed it to Congress saying the NCAA is just dragging their feet on this. They're not going to get it done. We need your help. Let us do it, but give us the power to do it, or you make the rules and we'll follow those, but we need them now. I thought that was amazing today when that story came out.
Now, it's very important, but I hope Congress has a little more on its plate than that. I think it should be somewhere on the –
yeah.
I mean, right now they do on a lot of fronts. Dave, I would hate it kind of. I think it would be the end of the NCAA tournament. We would have a basketball tournament. I don't know what it would be called. I don't know what it would look like, but it would be the recognized, preeminent, you're the champion, just like at one time the National Invitational Tournament had that gravitas. And the NCAA tournament superseded that through the years. But on everything, the NCAA they go out of their way to miss an opportunity. They never fail to miss an opportunity.
Well, they do. And in my mind, there are 6 leagues that are serious to try to compete on every level, and in the case of the American, use every imaginative tool they have to try to stay as competitive as they possibly can. And then there's there's one basketball league, I think, that doesn't play football that you would have to include in this league if you did this as a
Big
top
East?
level, and that's the Big East. If you did,
What about the Valley?
Well, you're drawing the line at 80 to 100.
Understood.
I'm saying, if you brought in the American schools, you'd be close to the 80 for all sports. And then what does the Big East have? Is it 14 schools with Connecticut now that plays?
And see, Dave, in football, I think some finessing of a merger between CUSA and the Sun Belt, and that was shot down, is going to happen by the Louisiana Tech athletics director. I think in football, the best of those two could make up one more if you're trying to get to the 100 number.
Isn't the Mountain West the best of the group of 5 after Memphis, after the American? It's certainly
top to bottom, probably.
It is certainly
probably.
It is not going to be the MAC, and the MAC is really hurting for money right now. Although, in the bowl games, the MAC usually ends up doing better than a lot of these other conferences. I don't think it's the Sun Belt. Do you think it's the Sun Belt? What would be beyond the American if you were ranking the other 5 group of 5 conferences? How would you rank them?
Probably the one you mentioned, but I think the best part of the Sun Belt is really good. Their top 2 or 3 teams, I think, are pretty good teams, really good teams, and pretty solid campuses and programs.
Campuses that are growing. I'm every time I go through Jonesboro, I'm amazed at how much bigger it is than
blow
when
you away.
First started going there.
People do not realize what Jonesboro and Arkansas State University, just what they have, and it was so much fun to go up to a game there last year, and I've got a lot of friends there and a soft spot for them. I fully recognize that.
I hopefully I'm alive for all this and still employed, but I could be there.
Where you going? You going to be
4 times?
Well, you checking out on me today?
No. 4 times in the next 10 years.
I knew you'd bail on me during this pandemic. I knew it.
I'm not bailing. I'm still here. And we'll be back, too, in just a minute. When we come back, our agent from Chicago in Memphis for just a little longer. That would be Andy Schiffman, and he is next.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales. At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
Attention doctors, nurses, law enforcement, firefighters, and EMT personnel. Infinity of Memphis wants to show their gratitude for what you've done and for what you do for our community. Right now, you can get your personal vehicle a mobile super synthetic or Mobile One oil and filter change for half price. That's only $32.50 or $49.99 respectively. Infinity of Memphis will also wash your car for free. Visit infinityofmemphis.com now to schedule your service. ID is required. Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Andy Schiffman up next to talk NBA with us. A lot of leaks, a lot of rumors around the Board of Governors conference call today. We'll find out what Andy knows and what he can tell us, but it sounds like a plan starting to emerge for the NBA. He's next after I tell you about the sponsor of this hour. That's DeSoto Auto Sales. They specialize in late model cars with low mileage, very high standards at DeSoto Auto Sales, where all the cars are test driven, all checked out head to toe, bumper to bumper, with an unlimited inventory. Every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they will go out and find it for you at DeSoto Auto Sales, where no shortcuts are ever taken. They treat you like family. You walk in, you're met by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment. They care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. Within 45 minutes, you can test drive your car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in less than an hour. Unbelievable. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today that time matters, and they know it at DeSoto Auto Sales. It's that simple. Visit them online and check out the referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We are very fortunate. Every Friday we get to chat with just a terrific young agent, Andy Schiffman, who has been staying in Memphis, although this is his last week. To Chicago he will go next week, which means that everything is starting to open up. And Brett
back to work.
The Board of Governors meeting today. I don't know what happened there. They have the GM meeting yesterday, and there's a lot of word that is coming out of those particular meetings. Andy Schiffman, what have you learned over the last week or so that makes you think we're going to be back here soon?
Sure. Well, actually just hung up with one of my clients and spoke with a few GMs today, and all signs point to restarting the NBA season as early as July 31st in Orlando. There are still a number of unanswered questions that remain, such as how many teams will be in Orlando, what will the format of remaining games look like, will there be a full 82-game schedule played out, will it be 70 to 72 games before some sort of playoff format, will all the teams be participating in the playoffs or just however many, 16, whatever they decide. So while there are still a lot of unanswered questions that have to be ironed out, the commissioner, Adam Silver, did today say targeting a July 31st report date. So there are a lot of financial implications along with this as well to realize TV money, revenue, et cetera, how this will all affect the salary cap. And let's try to understand the financial implications that are at play with all of these potential return to play scenarios. The league today on their call spoke about 4 different scenarios where any one of 4 playoff formats could take place, and that all varies on how many teams will participate. So again, all of these things have to be answered. But the good thing is it seems like we're on track to have basketball here in hopefully less than a month and a half or 2 months or so. It's less than that even, a month and a half, let's call it.
Do you get the sense that they'll come back with 16? Will it be 20? Will it be 24? Would it be all 30? How many games are in there? I mean, if you don't start till July 31st and you're not going straight to the playoffs, you're going to be playing until Christmas.
Right. And they're talking about trying to have the season wrapped up by late September, October, if possible, because don't forget, you still have to have some sort of a draft. Will there be an NBA combine before the draft? Will players ever be able to go and work out? Will there be a summer league now that's just moved to the fall and call it a fall league? What about free agency? So, correct. I don't think there will be an 82-game season played out. I personally don't think all 30 teams will be in Orlando because, it depends. It all depends on the playoff format, right? Like if you got the 16 teams, 8 in each conference, vying for the playoffs like we typically do, and the other 14 are what we call lottery teams, are you realistically going to give these lottery teams the opportunity to now be in the playoffs? A team like Golden State, a team like Minnesota, you never know what could happen there. But if they're earmarked as a lottery team as of March 11th when all the games were canceled, and if you are, this is all hypothetical, of course, but if you cut off that date as this is the date where we look at which teams will be in the lottery, how do you reconcile them all of a sudden having a chance to be in some sort of playoff format? And if they don't, and they say the top 16 teams will play in the playoffs, but all 30 are welcome to come here and play and get to, let's say, 70 games, I don't know if there's a ton of incentive for that. And I think one overarching concern is having too many people in one area if it's unnecessary. And I do tend to think that having 30 teams where realistically, let's call it 10 out of those 30 have no legitimate shot at making the playoffs could be a little bit superfluous and unnecessary, because the number one concern, and Michael Jordan talked about this on the call today with the league and all the other owners, is the health and safety of players. So it continues to be things they're talking about. I think once they decide on some sort of playoff format, then we will know how many teams will be in Orlando playing in the remainder of the season.
Andy, I'm not going to ask you to divulge any particulars because you wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't dare go that direction. I'll just first of all, I better ask you: is Tyus Jones with the Grizzlies your client?
He is not. We got Jonte Porter, who actually had some social distancing dinner with last night, and of course Brandon.
Okay, well, because this week Bobby Marks tweeted out that Tyus Jones was one Memphis Grizzlies win away from an $858,000 bonus.
Yep.
A player like that, and I'm sure you have players at certain markers. If they got regular season games in, they would honor that, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
And they should.
They should.
Oh,
man.
man.
The way you slice it,
Yes.
just so regular season games being played. Obviously, what takes precedence and priority is the overall concern of the entire NBA, not, obviously, as we both know, not one individual player and his specific financial situation or bonus opportunities. But trust me, there are a lot of players have vested interest individually because of that to resume the season and to just go out there and play. And the other thing is there are players that might have similar bonus structures in their contract to enable them to get to X number of points during the season for them to get this bonus, or X number of wins, or however many minutes per game. So those bonuses for sure hinge on the resumption of the season. Now, if things are cut off and certain teams are just not even invited to Orlando, if that seems like the place where the games will be resumed, if and when that happens, then as an agent, I would make the argument, look, it was accomplished during the season. Your season was cut short, no fault of the players or the league, but it is what it is. And during the season, this player achieved these specific marks and therefore earned these specific bonuses.
I'll be curious to see, even if they don't bring 30 back, I can't believe, and Chuck Cooperstein, the voice of the Dallas Mavericks, made this comment, this insight earlier, that you can't ask guys who haven't played for 4 months to come back and play meaningful games right away. There have to be some games where you play and learn to mesh together and you get your sea legs under you. I guess for Tyus Jones' sake, if they played 5 games, just games, would those count in his quest to get to 33 wins?
Well, I don't know the exact language of Tyus' contract, but again, if it's anything like I think it is, if it's just structured as regular season games, whatever that means, if it's a regular season game, no matter if it's a meaningless game, for sure he would have earned that bonus. Now, to your point, Dave, I don't know if there's even enough time or opportunity to go out there and after a, let's call it a 2 or 3 week training camp, to start playing exhibition games. I have not seen or heard much talk at all from the NBA about the possibility of teams playing some sort of number of exhibition games before going into what we call regular season games, even if they're starting in August or the very end of July. Maybe at the most each team would play 2. I just don't know if that's a possibility if they're already trying to truncate the remaining schedule to get straight into a playoff system. So they've got to call the NBA Board of Governors again with the league next week, I believe on Thursday. We should know a lot more as we just inch closer here to a formal proposal to announce the structure of the playoffs, the format, which teams will be participating in the resumption of the season.
Do you think that is a formality, the vote next week, or the votes in? Adam Silver seems to have such the confidence of the owners and the players with such confidence in Chris Paul. Do you think that's a mere formality?
I do, and it doesn't seem like there's been any sort of formal vote within the next 7 to 10 days that the structure of the playoffs, but it's just a box check so you know what's happening. But at this point, it seems it's just a formality to actually come out and announce the start of the season after the news today, which is unofficially said that it is restarting.
Do you or your players have any concerns of safety about what we'll have in Orlando?
Absolutely. Even a few of the players I talked with today, I mean, that is their number one concern. Now, every player continues to reiterate, Dave, we all want to play. And I even asked a couple of the players, I said, how do your teammates feel? And they all said, look, we all want to play. Everyone wants to play. We want to get back to playing. We want to obviously try and do our best to mitigate the financial losses that we've incurred this season going into next year with the salary cap and how that's going to fluctuate. But for sure, we only want to play, as we've said all along, if we know we're going to be protected and taken care of, and the league and the teams are taking the proper precautions, which to this point in time, everyone has, especially the players going back into the facilities, working out. Not every player is back yet. It seems like right now, I believe almost every team, Toronto, maybe the other one, the odd one out, have reopened their facilities or in the process of doing so. A lot of teams mostly just have their rookies or their younger players back in the facility. Some of the veteran guys are still at home. But for sure, there are a lot of uncertainties and nerves among my players in returning just to kind of see how this evolves and how it's going to impact next season. And a lot of the players are just very weary of playing in front of no fans. It's not that they don't want to. Obviously, they understand for health and safety the benefit of not playing in front of fans, but they're just a little nervous because, look, these are professional athletes that have played in front of crowds that have continued to get larger and larger every step of their career ever since they were in high school. And now to be at the absolute highest level in a contained environment with no audience and no fans, it's going to be very different. And if you, for 1 minute, do not think that will have some sort of impact on how these teams and players perform, and at least initially, you're wrong, because it will. And I think eventually, through this transition period, it becomes a little more normal, so to speak. But a lot of players seem to think that we could go into next season, even if we start in December, with no fans for the majority of next season.
Andy, earlier in the week, we were discussing this very subject matter about it could be played at a gym, at a smaller facility, a smaller venue, a smaller arena, the likes of which we can't imagine in the annals of NBA history. And I just asked speculatively, what would be the smallest crowd ever for an NBA Finals game? Well, after I asked that, I did the research. The smallest crowd back to 1971 was 10,000 and change at the old Mecca in Milwaukee for Lou Alcindor and the Bucks. But the smallest crowd ever for an NBA Finals game came in the very first year of the league, 1947, the Philadelphia Warriors won the series 2 out of 3 over the Chicago Stags, and about 2,200 people attended one of the games at Chicago Stadium.
Wow. There were the Stags, there were the Packers, then there were the Bulls.
Zephyrs.
And the Zephyrs.
Zephyrs were in there.
There was a lot of failures.
Well, you'll have 2,200 less people if we get to a final scenario this year.
That's right. I'm hoping maybe by then to have the NBA Finals at the Magic Arena with Florida opened up and let families come in and really end it and send it into the 2021 season in style. That's just a hope, though, Andy.
Here's what I think.
I think it's wishful thinking. But what they could do is, shoot off the fireworks over the Magic Kingdom after champion is crowned. That'd be something. But here's the other thing to that point. If they have these games in Walt Disney, that theme park, as I understand it, has opened up. And so the NBA talks about having everything contained. I don't think I or any of my colleagues will be allowed anywhere down there. I think all the general managers will be down there. I think they'll definitely limit the number of outside individuals at these games and around these teams, with the exception, like I talked about, general managers and some immediate family members. But how does that work if you're on a campus now surrounded by the rest of the country coming down to enjoy the theme park? How can you really separate all that out? So that is something that's also been discussed on these calls with the league. Is it truly going to be an isolated environment? For sure, none of these fans will be in attendance at these games, but how contained and cornered off will these players be? Can you realistically say, do not leave this area, do not leave the hotel? Because, look, I'll tell you, there will inevitably be some players that venture off and say, well, I'm not going to get caught, or this doesn't apply to me. I don't think that will happen with any of my players, but I could definitely see that being a concern. And I also think the other way. I think there'll be a number of fans down there that will going to try and find a way to interact with these players. Now, of course, you're going to have ample security down there. So how likely is that to actually happen? Probably very unlikely. But just the notion of all these players being on a campus, on a theme park, where all around you there's going to be people enjoying the theme park is a little bit uncertain, I'd say.
Well, they've got mammoth hotels in Disney World, and I would suspect that they would just say, this one hotel will be for all the NBA players and their families, and that's the only group that will use it, and that way you'll be able to be protected. I got a suggestion. Here's how the NBA can make money on the finals, okay? Once we're down to the two teams, move them to Dallas, Texas. Open up AT&T Jerry World Stadium, because the governor's already said you can have 20% of the capacity. Well, that thing seats 100,000, right? Put 20,000 in there, and you've got your crowd.
Well, here's the only concern about that, Dave. That's a brilliant idea, except the notion of potentially having to go there, crossing over different states, even if you fly everyone in private, is the notion of being quarantined. And all the family members and all that being quarantined for 2 weeks, how does that reconcile itself with playing a final series?
That part I didn't go that far.
Well, I'm going to get.
That's just the idea,
guy. But wait. If you go private the whole way, and it's just the people that have been together all the time since they've been in Orlando, test them when they get there. I don't see how you couldn't do that.
I just wonder about all these peripheral people, like family members, who are probably not going to be allowed on some sort of private jet or private plane to go along with their players and their families, and to sit there and think, well, you can't come now, or you can come, but you have to stay in the hotel room and be quarantined. You can't be anywhere around me while I'm going to play. It is a little bit tricky, but from a revenue standpoint and just an overall popularity standpoint, and having the spotlight in such a nice place like that stadium is, with some sort of fan attendance, it's a great idea. I don't know if it would actually be worked out, but like I said, call Adam Silver. We'll get him on the phone. We'll talk about this for sure.
Yeah, well, you call him up. I'll let you represent me on this. You call it the Wolo rule, and we're good.
All right, perfect.
I just want a ticket. That's all.
That's a hot ticket if you can get it. I'll tell you that much.
It would be an unbelievable ticket. I can promise that. I am curious because I think there were some leagues in Europe or in Israel that did try to come back. Did they come back successfully? Have they been played without fans? What's going on in international basketball?
Sure. So first in China, they're still talking about resuming the season at some point in July. That league has changed the start date a number of different times. The biggest concern there, specifically for American players who have played over there this year, just like Memphian, Lester Hudson, Jarnell Stokes, two of my clients, is that the borders remain closed to China. So even if that league does restart, I don't see how, unless the border reopens, any sort of American players can go back and resume that season. So that league is not restarted. I fully suspect there to continue to be a change in the resumption date if they do restart. Now for Europe, we've got Spain, Germany, and Israel that have all announced they're going to restart. And Israel came out 2 weeks ago and said they're restarting. Then they backtracked last week and said that we have to rethink things. And now they're talking about again, okay, we're still set to restart, I think around the middle of June. And in Germany, same sort of thing. They're talking about having games starting very early June. Spain, same thing, talking about 12 of the 20 teams in the Spanish league going to Valencia in Spain to play the remaining games at some point in the next month or so. So while none of the games have started, those teams are definitely practicing. They've been in the gym with their other teammates. The teams are taking precautions, but they're in full training camp mode, gearing up for an official resumption of those 3 seasons just domestically, within Germany, within Spain, within Israel. So they haven't started just yet. When they do restart, there will be no fans in the arenas. They're all going to be one central location, the games where they're going to be played at. So it's TBD to see how things go, to see how things progress. I know in Israel specifically, there was a little more concern this week because the number of cases rose slightly. However, they're all on track to restart the season.
I'm curious, a kid like Tarek Black, we all know and love him here, did he come home from Israel or did he stay there? And if he did come home, you can fly back to Israel now. The restrictions, if there ever were any, I don't really know if there were to Israel, but I didn't think there was much international flight going on from America at this point. What would that look like?
Sure. So he actually did come home, and we decided it was in his family's best interest just to remain home. So I worked with the team to allow him just to remain home and be with family. And that is a decision a lot of American-born players and non-Israeli players have made because the league now faces restarting their season with completely new American players that just want to fly over there and make a quick dollar for the month or so they'd be over there. So a lot of the players under contract in Israel, similar to Tarek, that did return to the U.S. or North America in general, have decided not to go back. And the teams understand it. They know the concerns of it's less about going back and actually playing in Israel, which is relatively safe and contained. It's more about the adventure of getting there and potentially having to change planes and leaving your family and all this and getting into these airports and potentially risking being quarantined for 2 weeks before you can go do anything. So we made the decision it was just better for Tarek's family to remain home, and not participate in the remainder of this season with Tel Aviv.
Well, that is sad, but it's happened to so many other athletes. Shouldn't be surprised that it happened here like that for him.
Yep.
Anyway,
absolutely.
It looks like we're on the verge of things happening here in America, and after talking to you and after talking to Chuck Cooperstein, it sure does look like this Orlando deal is going to take shape. How it takes shape, what form, we don't know, but something good is going to come out of this. I think the NHL is there. The one now that I still have the most concern about is baseball, but we'll have to wait and see how all that plays out. I'm looking forward to seeing you and your dad on Sunday, Andy. So I think we'll have a great time, and you stay safe. And then again, we'll talk to you from Chicago. You can give us an update on the Windy City next week.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. Sorry to miss you this Sunday, and appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, Andy. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Andy Schiffman with us every Friday, and it has been a delight and a lot of information there. And Woj tweeting and now reporting about the Thursday Board of Governors voting, Dave. A little bit like the SEC. I don't think they're staging that vote for
No.
Adam Silver and have his plan denied. Our friends at All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, they say congratulations to the high school and college class of 2020. You will never forget your graduation year, and you shouldn't be forgotten at this time because it's a great time to help your grad get a new or pre-owned Chevy. And if you're ready to get that new Suburban, Silverado, Blazer, or Tahoe, or even pre-order one of those hot new Corvettes, All Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, that's where you want to be. The people at All Star Chevy, they make it easy, they make it fun, they make it safe. Whatever makes you comfortable. They'll even bring any All Star Chevy car, truck, or SUV to you, and you'll pay a lot less than at those city dealers. GM's financing can mean no payments for 4 months and zero interest for 84 months on any new Equinox or Silverado, thousands in cash back with Blazers, Silverados, and many, many more. Everybody at All-Star Chevy, they've got one job. Make sure you get a better deal, have more fun, and do it in record time, and everything sanitized and safe for you. They even pick up and deliver for maintenance and service. Remember, it's not South Haven, it's not the Pike, it's not Mount Moriah, it's not Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy today in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
This portion of the show also brought to you by Edwin Watts, their new golf palace, I guess.
Let Drew do the spot. Let Drew do the spot and talk about his new treads he was showing off last Saturday. He got at Edwin Watts.
Drew, what did you get?
Oh, I got some nice pearly white FootJoys. Love them.
I mean, look like Broadway Joe Namath in them.
I hate to tell you this. Jay just texted me, new deals on great shoes.
Drew.
Especially
Drew.
white shoes.
Drew.
I bought them last Wednesday.
Oh, no.
Jay will honor it. Jay will honor it.
They have marked down several of the 2019 Callaway and Titleist golf balls. So you got to go back in there, get the new deal, put that credit towards some 2019 Pro Vs or those Callaway softs. Oh, those are good. They also have deals on rangefinders. Who does not have a rangefinder? You don't? Get to Edwin Watts Golf. Come on, you can't play without a rangefinder. They you know they've got. They used to have that one little computer. I think they got 3 now in this new store. Not only that, they're the home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving golfers since 1968, and a new special deal on white shoes. Wow, can't believe that. Back in just a minute. Heck yeah, hell no. That's next.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more. Right here, R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Don't miss it.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
As a pro, saving time and money is your first priority. Lowe's can help you save both. Shop on Lowe'sForPros.com and get free standard shipping on qualifying orders of $45 or more. You'll find the brands you trust and can order on the job site or in the truck from any device. Need something in a hurry? Make a quick trip to Lowe's. We're open at 6 a.m. and offer curbside pickup, so you can get what you need and get on your way. Lowe's, here to help you save time and money. Applies to eligible items only. Contiguous U.S. only. Restrictions apply. See Lowe'sForPros.com for details.
You get into bed and find your mind still going? If so, try ZzzQuil Pure Z's liquid melatonin. It's made with an optimal level of melatonin for no next day grogginess. Pure Z's liquid melatonin, because sleep is a beautiful thing, at stores now.
Hi, it's the Herd. Working from home used to be the fantasy of every professional. Turns out it's really not that comfortable. Unless, of course, you're wearing Tommy John like I do. Tommy John is here to keep you comfortable with super soft underwear and loungewear. I just got new pairs. No matter working from home, doesn't matter what the situation is. For a limited time, go to TommyJohn.com and get 25% off your order with the code HERD, H-E-R-D, code HERD, TommyJohn.com. Go to their site, check them out for all the details.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our final hour right before the weekend. It's going to be a glorious, glorious weekend. The weather, I'm telling you, upper 70s, low 80s, zero humidity. I don't know if it's zero, but low humidity. Sunshine abounding. Ooh, golf. If you get the chance, or heck, you can go swimming after Memorial Day, right? That's the official open up the pool. Let's go crazy. And a reminder, before we go heck yeah, hell no on you, we can go crazy by going to the butcher shop tonight or tomorrow or Sunday. The butcher shop has this new $100 family meal for four. Four famous butcher shop entrees. You can choose from a New York strip, an Atlantic salmon, chicken breast. You can even go ribeye and filet mignon for a couple of extra bucks. But you get those four along with their famous garden salad, baked potatoes, French bread, even 4 homemade desserts, including cheesecake or a brownie. You get all that for your family for $100. You can go inside or you can get it curbside, 4:30 to 8 o'clock tonight, if you would like to. You can order by calling 757-4244. Don't forget they have this incredible Sunday lunch with prime rib and fried chicken and New York strip. And the hits just keep on coming. So many good things at the butcher shop right there at the Agri Center. That's Walnut Grove and Germantown Road. We love to play. He loves to put it all together. It's time for Drew Barrett and heck yeah, hell no.
Heck yeah, hell no. All right, like I said, I'm pretty proud of myself for today, and they're all college football themed. So starting off, big game Bob Stoops will be coaching in college football in 2021.
Whoa. Big game Bob Stoops back in 2021. Hell no. He's retired. That was a lark in the XFL. And where would be likely suspect for him? USC, maybe. Notre Dame, if something happened with Brian Kelly. But I think Brian Kelly's going to have a great year. Bob Stoops, he is the answer to this trivia question, Dave. The last coach to coach Baker Mayfield in back-to-back years. Big game Bob. Baker Mayfield's had 4 coaches in 3 years with Cleveland, and he had the 1 year with Lincoln Riley before the back-to-back years with Bob Stoops. Also on the Brian Kelly front, I don't think he's going to do this, but if, it's a little kid word, if he goes 14-0, wins the 12 regular season games, the college football semi, the college football final, he would pass Newt Rockne this year as the winningest coach ever at Notre Dame.
If you had said to me that he could pass Newt Rockne this year, I would say you're out of your mind. I just
14-0.
He's not going to. But the fact of the matter is, if he wins 10 or 12 games, he's going to be back, and he probably will surpass Newt Rockne. And I don't think of Brian Kelly in that sort of realm. But, those numbers are pretty darn impressive for sure. I say to the Bob Stoops question, hell no as well. I think he was done with the big limelight and the big pressure jobs. That's why he decided he was going to retire. He's going to live the good life. I think they sort of made him an offer he couldn't refuse. It was going to be fun to be in the XFL. It was a little different for him. It was the pros. I think – the one thing that could get you would be USC if they came running for him. But are you going to come running for a guy who's been out of the game for 4 years, other than the 6 XFL games?
Great point.
Great point. I think USC is going to go after somebody who's really fresh right now.
Mm-hmm. And Dave, you make the point. I'm not going to say the game is passing by. Bob Stoops was a great coach. I thought after winning it so early at OU that he would get more than just one, but one's a lot, and
one's tough.
He got it in his second year, I think, at OU. Yeah, second year in 2000. But maybe the game hadn't passed him by, but it's turned the blinker on and it's gotten over in the passing lane.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Lincoln
You just
Riley,
got to stay sharp.
I think Lincoln Riley was a really great next in succession for Oklahoma, and I still think he can become the next one that would be everybody's after. I think there was for a minute there. I think it died down a little bit, but we'll see what he does this year.
Lincoln Riley's got to get a defense. Now, that's not his prowess,
Right,
but when you're
right.
head coach, you are ultimately in charge of it.
Right.
Good one, Drew.
Absolutely.
All right, next question. Georgia will make the college football playoff championship with JT Daniels at quarterback. They don't have to win. They just got to make it to the finals.
Does JT Daniels have immediately is he immediately eligible? He has to get a waiver. I'm going to say hell no. Because
over the course of his career or this year?
Over the course of his career.
Over the course of his career.
So either 3 or 2 years. Or 3 years over the course of 3 or 4 years.
He's
All
got
right.
3 to 4 years.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Heck yes.
I agree. I hate to say it, we're agreeing on everything. Heck yeah.
I do too.
I think he's got a chance.
I think he's got a chance, and they have a chance. But I would have thought by now Kirby would have won. I won't say just one. And he's been in the mix. You look at his record. This is hauntingly Mark Richt. And that's exactly what he wasn't going to be. It was going to be the next level.
Well, Brett, I hate to say this, but you said it in the last question. It's hard to win a national championship. There's only one
harder
guy
now than ever.
Wins every year. He's unfortunately got to get past Nick Saban. He's just to get to the mix. And
harder now than ever,
yeah,
Dave.
I mean,
and what one loss does to you, I mean, whenever it comes, if it comes early in the year, well, you're at the back of the line. You got to start that long slog back. Bama had to do that after losing in early October to Ole Miss in 2014. You lose late in the year, it's kind of the soup of the day. Well, they just lost. You know, let's reward this team. I don't blame people for that. One loss is dangerous too. It sends you to a bowl game that your fans probably really don't care about anymore.
And then you get set up in a championship game, and you got to play the Western Division of the SEC, and that could be a national championship of its own. If you don't win it, you have no chance. So
now Alabama's lost 3 games the last 2 years, though, Dave. They lost 2 games last year.
They have.
All right, sticking in the SEC East, Dan Mullins will win a national championship before Coach O wins his second.
I'm not convinced Coach O is going to win a second.
We didn't think he'd get a first, did we?
I'm going to say heck
That's
yeah.
right, Drew.
I'm going to say heck yeah, because O did win that title, and I really don't want to take much away from him.
But you're getting ready to take away from him.
He had Joe Burrow, who had a once-in-a-lifetime career
and had Dave Aranda.
year. Yeah.
But don't we always do this to Ed Orgeron? I said the hire of Ed Orgeron at Ole Miss was the single worst football hire in the history of the SEC. He's gone on to win a national championship. Wasn't at Ole Miss, but he did it at LSU. I think it's the only place he could be winning one. But you know what? That's the only place he's coaching. Hell no. Ed Orgeron wins another one before Dan Mullen, and kind of stealing or copying and pasting some of Dave's best answer to the last question, the fight to wade through the SEC. So Dan Mullen's got to wade through Georgia. I think here comes Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt. What Mark Stoops is doing year after year at Kentucky. And you got to go through all of them to get to Atlanta, and then you got to go through either Ed Orgeron or Nick Saban once you get to Atlanta, and then that semifinal game, and then winning it all. Hell no. Ed O wins another one before Dan Mullen wins his first one at Florida.
I'll still go with Mullen. The East is not the West, my friend.
Great coach. Mullen is a great coach.
He is a great coach. Next.
All right, next question. In the upcoming season, fans will be more upset about not being able to tailgate than they will be about the 25% capacity in the stadiums for the actual game.
Well, hold on. Time out. That question has a huge caveat to it. We know that the state of Texas has opened it up for outside events at 25%. If I were betting right now, I am going to say that will not be a universal. That will be fanless, at least in the very beginning of this college football journey. So I'm going to say fans are just going to be upset because I don't think they're going to be a part of anything to begin with.
But do you think they'd be more upset about not tailgating than actually going to the game, especially at a lot of SEC schools, especially the Grove, where I'd say about 50% of people in the Grove don't even go to the games.
Well, Andrew, I think I'm going to say yes, heck yes, but for this reason, and at a lot of places, you've never lost that tailgate. Once you go into that stadium, the scoreboard comes on, and it's not a lot of fun a lot of Saturdays for a lot of teams. And the tailgating scenes are so good, and that doesn't ever really let you down. Your team may let you down, or that opponent may put it on your team, and that lets you down. But your pregame savoir-faire, your pregame experience, that's a pretty constant. If the weather at all cooperates, we might get beat 45-10, but we have a damn good time pregame.
I am curious as to if they will limit, probably to major donors, but limit with social distancing the ability to tailgate, even if you can't go into the games.
See, Dave, I know where you're coming from, and of course in sports and in college sports and in the SEC, there's some aspects about it I like. If you want the best parking place, I guarantee you, whatever school is real or perceived the best parking place, and you want it, if you give enough money, if you match whatever that family that has that best spot, they'll give it to you for next year. So you have that kind of the strong survive, that Darwinism about it. But what a year for it to be quite the opposite. At most places, instead of the primo spots for the well-heeled donors, how about in this year you allow to the students or to the younger, newer graduates and alums, you get the primo spot and you get to see what it's like building into the future.
I would think this, especially for a school like the University of Memphis, and I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for them. They're in the middle of a season ticket campaign. And if I were them, I would say, buy these tickets, because whatever the capacity is, first come, first serve. And that way I get my season tickets sold.
Agree.
All right, next question. Last year, 7 Group of 5 schools finished the season in the final top 25 AP poll. That is the most of the last decade. Will there be 8 or more teams in the final AP top 25 poll in 2020?
Ooh, man, that was good. That one you get commendation.
I had to make sure I got that in.
That's really good.
I'm going to say hell no.
It shows how strong it is.
Yeah, I'm going to say hell no. Although you already had 3 American Athletic Conference teams in the top 25 preseason in one of those polls.
Appalachian State, somebody from the Sun Belt, somebody from Conference USA, Boise.
Drew, you're going to get Boise.
I'm going to say heck yes. I'm going to say heck yes.
8?
But do I have to go? Could I go just 7, or has it got to be 8?
No, the answer is 8 because
the answer was 8. Yes, I said it has to be more than last year.
Nobody will remember May 29th. Heck yes, it goes over 8.
I will. Don't. There's not everything I remember well, but I remember these kinds of things.
And I think my biggest point is there's some great football being played out there that's not SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12, Big 12, ACC, and I enjoy watching. And now what I am mostly at all year, I love, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, where I am and what I do and who I do it with. But there's some really good football being played. I think the program at Louisiana Tech under Skip Holtz would be fun to follow. What Jay Hobson's done at Southern Miss, to get them resuscitated.
Yeah, he's a good coach. No, there's no question. I appreciate that you are sticking up for these group of 5 teams, and you would put 8 in because you know I would vote that way. But that is not the way it's going to be a reality. And if I recall, just 24 hours ago, my friend, you predicted 11 SEC teams in bowl games. So out of those 11, how many do you think are going to get in the pot in the top 25 when it's all said and done? At least
about 6.
Oh, I was going to say at least 7 or 8.
Maybe so.
And the Big 12's going to get that kind of number, and the Big 10's always going to get that number. To get 7 last year was amazing. The group of 5 got those.
I think there were 4 SEC in the CFP games yesterday in that Sporting News first projection.
Well, if there's 4 in the CFP,
they had Oklahoma in it. I know that.
There's going to be at least 7 top 25.
But I'm talking about the other games as well, like Cotton and Sugar and all.
Yeah. Those are called the New Year's Six, aren't they? Isn't that how we term
that's
that?
correct.
Yeah. Of which there will be a group of 5 slot. I don't know which bowl game it is this year, but there will be one. Boy, that Cotton Bowl. Woo! That Cotton Bowl was so much fun. All right, last one. Heck yeah, hell no.
All right, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I'd still just like to ask it anyways. Mr. Row the Boat himself, PJ Fleck, will make the Big Ten championship game at Minnesota before Jim Harbaugh does at Michigan.
Hell
no. Hell no. I think
that went the other way. I thought y'all were going to say yes.
No.
I think good job, and great job last year, and put it on Auburn in the bowl game. I want to give him all due credit, but tough job, and
he could build there, and he could be really good, but people like, for whatever reason, to pick on Jim Harbaugh. And he does bring some of that on himself.
Because it's easy.
He brings some of it on himself, like the crazy cartwheels he and his, his DC that was doing the other day, forgetting this guy?
He's wound tight.
He is.
PJ Fleck should be the first choice at USC if they swing and miss for Urban Meyer.
Maybe so. But I'm just going to say to you, Harbaugh's going to get it done sooner or later. You see, he's got the biggest problem with him in Ohio State was the talent level of players, and he has upped the ante on those ESPN 300 players. He's got like 8 in this last class. He is moving up.
I know better than cracking this joke because it falls big time under the too soon with us still in the middle of the pandemic, so I won't. But one of these days, I'm going to call Jim Harbaugh the feared second wave because it's always coming in 2 weeks.
That in Texas, you love picking on those 2 guys. And that is heck yeah, hell no. When we come back, a few little notes and, of course, crunch time. Still to come on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Attention doctors, nurses, law enforcement, firefighters, and EMT personnel. Infinity of Memphis wants to show their gratitude for what you've done and for what you do for our community. Right now, you can get your personal vehicle a Mobile Super Synthetic or Mobile One oil and filter change for half price. That's only $32.50 or $49.99 respectively. Infinity of Memphis will also wash your car for free. Visit infinityofmemphis.com now to schedule your service. ID is required.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage, $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Termbusters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-569-5440. That's 1-800-569-5440. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Termbusters, 1-800-569-5440, or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-569-5440. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We beat you with the deal, we get in fame.
Welcome back in as we are moments away from the weekend. Our final segment brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch, where they've set the bar, I think, for the way car business should be done. A lot of it's service, a lot of it is product, some of it is incentives like 0% financing for 84 months. You pay no interest for 84 months on that new car you buy, and on some select models, you don't have to make the first payment for 120 days. That's 4 months. Some deals are 3 months. Again, they understand we're in this pandemic. We're betting it's going to be better economically in 3 or 4 months. You don't have to make your car payment until we are there. And know how good these products are. I mean, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every brand new car on the lot. And they'll take care of you. Please get on Lamar. Go to Mississippi, exit 1, Craft Road. That's the first one. Turn left and go see all the gang. And that gang's been together a long time for Chris True at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
We'll take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Learned today that this weekend for me will be the 12th weekend without sports that I care about. Next weekend will be it. Next weekend will be the Baker's Dozen, cousin. 13 weekends for me without sports. Never want to go through this again in my life, Dave.
I am with you. And next week, well, we'll be, I guess, one more week away from the Schwab when it really will count, right?
Yeah, and the official deadline will be about 53 minutes before this, and there's not going to be any Tiger, but they have a great field, and I'm going to watch every stroke of it.
I will, too. I learned today that Roger Federer made more money than any athlete in the world this year. He made $106.3 million. Now, that includes endorsement. But isn't it nice that a 38-year-old guy in a sport like tennis, that late in his career, which is about literally 11 years past what they say is your prime in that game, and he's made more money than any other athlete. Cristiano Ronaldo was number 2 at $105 million. LeBron was 5th at $88 million. Steph Curry 6th at $74 million. KD 7. And there's Tiger Woods at 8. Tiger Woods made $62.3 million. And how many?
Hope he can make it.
How many tournaments did he play in? By the way, Kirk Cousins 9, Carson Wentz 10.
And the year off on the court really hurt Roger Federer.
Yeah.
And it really will have affected Serena Williams in tennis. Could have done without. Most of the NBA plans are not moving fast enough for me. Come on, we got to get this moving before July 31st. They can get going faster than that, especially if they're not going to play complete the 82-game season or have everybody there. I want to see the plans moving along faster.
Well, I was going to say, we're thinking along the same lines. The disappointment is they put out 4 different playoff formats, but don't you think Adam Silver already knows what he wants to do? I believe he does.
I do too.
Hey, can I put one more in that I learned this week?
Please.
Because I've been meaning to put this in. And, I love Jonathan Epstein and all those guys at Running Pony. The University of Memphis football intro called Tigers on Fire, that won the award as the #1 football video intro in all of college football. Congratulations.
It's sensational.
Yeah.
And the whole game ops presentation at the Liberty Bowl, it is really big time. I'm with you on most of the plans. We're going to keep an eye on the ticking clock for baseball, and progress has been made for NHL and for NBA. Firm plans being made for both of them, but not for baseball. College athletes starting to reassemble around campuses. They'll only be about 2 weeks at most places from when they would have reported, which is usually around Memorial Weekend, that Monday of Memorial Day into Tuesday when first session of summer school starts. So maybe we can get back to colleges and get a little more momentum next week on shored up plans.
I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of plans, not just NBA when it comes out probably middle of next week. Hopefully MLB maybe this weekend or maybe not ever. But I'm also looking forward to seeing what some of these protocols are going to be for testing and what the theories may be now that we've seen the state of Texas opening things up for fans to come in at 25% capacity, what some of those protocols might look like. Because frankly,
where
Brett,
are you playing golf this weekend?
I want
to set an over and under.
I'm playing at Miramichi tomorrow and Sunday afternoon at Galloway.
All right, Saturday at Miramichi, Drew, 82.5, over or under?
I'll beat that.
I'll believe in Dave. I'll take the under.
I'm always taking over.
Oh, you're just,
can't wait.
You're
I want to
mean.
see you text me a scorecard. I want to see it.
I'll do it. I'll send you a picture. No question. Thanks to
Have fun, Dave.
Bruce Marshall, Chuck Cooperstein, Kari Thompson. That was delightful chatting with him. And our friend Andy Schiffman and Drew did a terrific job on Heck Yeah, Hell No. Gentlemen, you guys enjoyed the great weather this weekend. To all of you out there, still be safe. Remember, we're still in a pandemic. See ya Monday.
Oh, my stomach.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Try new Pepto-Bismol Chews. The same fast relief of Pepto-Bismol, now in a delightful